How's about that, man?
Oh, good.
Okay. Murphy's Law, man. Do what you want to do.
DIY.
DIYers. So let me let you understand what just happened right now. We just had a great 15-minute start of a conversation, and you guys weren't here for it. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm in the building right now with the Punch TDE. Somebody I've had the pleasure of knowing for many, many, many years. Sir, first and foremost, thank you for your patience.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate you being here today.
Absolutely, man. It's an honor.
Come on, you got so many things on your itinerary right now. I don't know how you keep such a cool demeanor when literally everything can go to hell at any particular second.
Yeah, well, I mean,
teach me.
That's when you grow up in the projects, brother. You learn what real pressure is.
Real pressure. Can we hit the button for that one real quick? Not that one. Other. There we go. That's the one I needed right there. Quick introduction for those who have been sleeping under a rock and don't understand the significance of such a conversation today. Punch is the president of Top Dawg Entertainment, the label behind generational talents like Kendrick Lamar, SZA, Schoolboy Q, Ab-Soul, and J-Rock, known for his own lyrical background, which we must expand upon in this conversation. We're not playing about that. Strategic foresight and leadership. Punch has helped TDE become one of the most respected labels in hip-hop. He's also a recording artist and a creative force behind ARoomFullOfMirrors and TDE Films. Did y'all always have the foresight? Did you always see that from day one, that it would be this level of expansion?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, we used to sit around and just talk about it in the studio for hours of what the goals, what we wanted to do, where we wanted to be. Like it was all written for sure. So
right.
As it's happening, it's like, yeah, we knew that was gonna happen. Not to the extent, of course. You know what I mean?
How would anybody know to that to the detail?
Just the just talking about where we wanted to be, and you know what I mean. We definitely did that.
My pops used to say something coming up that I never really understood fully until I got around y'all. He would say he didn't like when he saw Kevin Garnett pumping on his chest and he was celebrating. He was like, act like you've been there.
Yeah.
I know it's a generational difference. When he said that, I'm like, what you mean? He's happy. He's excited.
Right.
But the way that I've seen y'all literally dominate, not just hip hop, but just the world of music, you in particular, because I've been studying a lot of your interviews and watching just to see if I don't overlap over questions, because especially with your criticism of hip hop media. We for sure got to get to that at some point. But what I do know is one consistent thing from day one that I met you. It's been the same calm demeanor. I don't think I've ever seen you in a panic mode, even in situations where I remember, running around with Ab-Soul at the Dub show, and he's like, oh man, I got to do this, and you like, all right, so what we gonna do? What do you? I mean, you talked about it, but I'm sure even that has evolved over time, because you've met and you've befriended some of the most influential people of our time. And like, I'm looking at pictures. I'll never forget, I seen a picture of you, I think Jay-Z and Bill Clinton.
Yeah, right.
Who casually posts that on Instagram?
That's too funny.
Man, but I do want to start from the very, very beginning, if you don't mind, about the days when I first kind of met and got an idea of what this TDE thing is, because here I am, Punch, 20 years into this, and I have yet to see anything even close to the discipline, to the organization, to the protection. I think the closest thing I might have seen was Strange Music, when I went to that environment and I said, what you mean this used to be a Montgomery Ward?
Right.
I haven't even heard of that in a long time. When I saw that, I'll tell you this, Punch. When I seen it, I said, oh, that's real independent.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not independent like that. I thought I was.
Oh, absolutely.
But with that said, let's start with how we met back in those early days. I was introduced to TDE through Ab-Soul, and me being blessed to work with him in my grandmother's patio. When I heard him, I said, this guy sounds like a young Jay-Z, a Reasonable Doubt Jay-Z, and I had never heard nothing of it except for on records. And I just told him, I said, bro, you might be one of the greatest I've heard of our age group. Then this dude in between labels signs with TDE. And the day he signs, he comes to my grandmother's patio, or my grandmother's house, which was my studio. And he shows me his tattoo, his TDE tat. And he's like, I'm running with them. And man, it's shit finna be different. And I'm like, what you mean? He's like, shit finna be different. He takes a CD of mine. He takes it to the studio. That CD included the gunshot beat.
Oh boy,
We talk about that.
the
But
infamous.
The infamous. Oh man, I do. The story that will never go away. That CD was my introduction to individual artists, because then that was the first time that I'm hearing a young artist named K Dot who's rapping over one of my beats on his first long-term project. And then eventually I get an invitation into the studio, and I'm just looking around and I'm like, this is different. This is different. The first thing that I noticed walking in there was a mission statement. Remember what that mission statement was?
See, it get confusing when you say that, because we had these
Code of conduct, wasn't it?
yeah, it was things listed
Yeah.
on the on that we put up on the wall
That's right.
as a reminder. What that came from was it was a XXL article where 50 was talking about some stuff, a couple more people was talking about some different industry principles. So I took those and put it into, you know what I mean, our own language, and wrote them up on the thing as a code of conduct, you could say.
Right.
But the overall, what the mission statement would be is hustle like you broke.
Hustle like you broke. Why was that important to be the center focus?
Because you're at your best when your back's against the wall. A lot of people are. You're more creative. You're more hungry. You're going to figure out a way to get it done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People tend to get laxed once they made it, per se.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you keep the mentality to hustle like you broke, you're going to always have that hunger, always have that fire up under you.
Yeah. What do you think is the origin of the foundation of that discipline? Because like I said, 20 years into this, there's only been so many environments that I saw even remotely close, especially when you're talking about so many different types of personalities, from the artists that you're working with, from, just the situation as it is. What do you think is really the foundation of that?
The foundation is Top. You know what I mean? Hence Top Dawg Entertainment. Like Top come from a street background to where he had a certain set of skills
Say less.
that enabled certain things. But in that, you know what I mean, he learned certain organization skills. He learned how to run a crew, how to run a squad, and we just brought those principles over to the music mainly.
Right.
And then also, like, having a sports background, everything is in sports metaphors.
Yeah.
It's like you got to know your team. You got to know your strengths, the weaknesses. You got to know who you can throw the ball to on third and long.
Right.
You got to know who going to make a big play, who going to cost you a big play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of those things are important. So we just put all of those, combined all those things together and put it into what we was doing with the music.
Was there any pushback early on from some of the artists? Like I said, when you got folks coming in from different work ethics and different ways of approaching things, some folks who are finally getting in a studio or at this situation. I know even the story that they tell about Schoolboy Q and coming into the environment. I think the thing that always amazes me now at this point is, from being in different group dynamics,
Yeah.
it ain't always just like, this is how we do things and everybody readjusts.
Right.
Hot.
It was, I wouldn't say pushback. Pushback wouldn't be the word, because everybody knew who Top was and respected Top.
My mama knew who Top was.
Right. Exactly. So it's a level of respect there that's already there. Plus, he's like his oldest son Musa is the same age as most of the guys. You know what I mean? So it's more of a parental relationship, sort of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I would come in as the big brother. I'm 5 years older than the rest of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then once we got to talking personally, and they see what my mind was, and it wasn't too much pushback either.
See, I want to hyper focus on that, because you got to explain to me, please, why the best lyricists that I know, especially out here, I don't care if I'm talking to Daylyt.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm talking to Dot, which I've had on many occasions having these conversations, especially Soul, who's never hesitate to give you your props.
Yeah.
They all talk about you from the perspective of a coach.
Yeah.
And specifically, I mean, obviously in their music careers, but specifically with the lyricism.
Yeah.
Can you kind of speak to that before I get into these specific questions that I have about that?
Oh yeah, that's more the thing of like they respect what I do lyrically and with the pen. And I can explain to them certain things. Like if I'm listening to their music, I can tell you exactly where something is off based on my experience. So that's different than a suit coming in and saying, I don't like this part. You're right. And can't even give you a reason as to how to fix it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's where that respect come from.
Yeah.
And I usually say things that make a lot of sense. And it's always, with me, it's always a suggestion.
Right.
It's never, yo, do this. It's like, yo, what you think about trying it this way?
Right.
And that just leaves people more open to the suggestion.
Me knowing your demeanor and the way that I don't care what we're talking about, you'd be like, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Me knowing that's your demeanor, I know the power that comes along with, you know, your voice, especially in certain arenas like that, giving advice. I was talking to Daylyt a few weeks ago, and he said, you said something and left out the room.
Yeah.
He said, as he's rapping, like, you know, he's multi-syllables. He's going to give you all of these storylines and things that you're going to go back through. I have no rum nitty questions today, by the way. Just putting that out there.
That nigga was talking about me crazy,
Talking
dog.
crazy. I said, what is going? I'm telling you, like, from somebody who's been in these environments. I've been in here as a producer, looking around, like, we gonna talk about it. But I was like, I don't know if it's the internet.
Right.
I don't know if it's just but I'm like, this shit I thought I'd never see.
That's hilarious.
With that said, though, Daylyt, you gave some advice, and he said that you told him, as he was barring up, you said, hey, yo, Light, learn to master the mid-range, and then you walked out the room.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. See, the whole thing was most artists want to go for the home run right away.
Mm-hmm.
That's shooting the big three or going in and dunking crazy.
Right.
But that mid-range is wide open.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's subtle. And it gets to the point. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to dribble 1,000 times and put the ball in your shirt and flip it around.
And one.
You know what I mean?
Because they never show baskets going in. You notice that?
Right. Pull up at the elbow and take the shot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's more effective.
Right.
And people don't know how to guard it.
Especially in today's NBA.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
the mid-range is wide open for you. Just stop and pull up.
Oh.
Keep it simple. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to have a multi-syllable metaphor every bar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Hit me with one and then let me dwell on that for a second. And then come back in with another one a little bit later.
Yeah.
But if I'm constantly trying to get this while you hitting another one, then another one, I'm missing the whole point of what you're saying.
That's what I love about the approach that the team has to lyricism, of course, including yourself. There seems to be a level of it stops right at the doorstep of being performative.
Right.
Because you see when a rapper is in the act of rapping and using a bunch of words, and it's like, but what are we saying?
Yeah.
And is it something that people want to replay and have and come back to? And
that's the point. Like, we used to have a term a couple years ago called mumble rappers.
Mm-hmm.
Mumble rapper is the same thing as certain lyricists.
Can you please push that button up there, sir? Did you mind?
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth.
I got a theory for you, but I want you to cook on this one.
Yeah, it's like, it's the same thing, just at the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, literally. It's like, yeah, I can't understand what you're saying, but I also can't understand what you're saying.
Right.
Give me somewhere in the middle. That's the mid-range.
Yeah. See, okay. I have this theory, Munch, where I would hear the people who would be so angry. It's usually underground rappers, so angry about what's on the radio and the mumble rap, and they would bring these names up. And I started thinking to myself, what are your complaints? You can't understand it. It's monotonous.
Yeah.
It's predictable. And you pretty much can create a starter pack for it. And I said, wait a minute. Did you see the meme by a comedian named Shiggy where he was like, I said, that's y'all. That's you niggas do this. Y'all do this exact thing and then act like it's the But the thing about it is that a lot of folks get away with it because if it has the elements of golden age hip hop, then it's like, oh yeah, that's just a thing.
Nah, it's with me is, what are you actually saying?
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying something that's gonna make me think?
Yeah.
In order for you to say something to make me think, I'm gonna have to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at people like Tupac, Scarface. These type of guys that'll say something that'll impact your life.
Right.
That'll change something in the way you think. And it's not overly lyrical.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not being super lyrical miracle that get it. It's saying something that's gonna touch the people.
Yeah.
And that's where I am with MCs and lyricists and so on and so forth.
Yeah. As I sat through, especially the R&B Money podcast, it reminded me how many eras that y'all have thrived in, where the elements said this is not going to work, right? Whether it was you're talking about the earlier years where I guess J-Rock was the hyper focus, and we're talking about the Southern rap is just taking over, right?
Yep.
And then the era that you deemed the emo rap became another situation.
Yes, sir.
You guys have always managed, no matter who the artist is, to feel like something new, but something familiar at the same time. What do you think is the key of that?
Honesty. You just got to be honest. Because when you're honest, that honesty is going to resonate with somebody. You know what I mean? If you stick to your guns, it's going to work eventually. It might take a long time. It might be quick. But it always eventually work when you're honest.
When you're honest.
When you're not, people see right through it.
Yeah.
You might pop and blow for, I don't know, you might be the hottest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
And next album, can't even get the next album out.
What do you think the sophomore, because you guys have evaded that at all costs. What do you think is, because I know you got a theory about this, what is the thing that the average consumer is missing about the sophomore Jinx, quote unquote?
What I think happens is when you're doing your first album, you don't have a lot of resources.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it goes back to that hustle like you broke thing. You're at your most creative, you're at your most hungry, you're going to figure it out. And that's usually the stuff that people relate to.
Right.
Now, if that works, your next album, you're going to have a budget now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you're going to go get the biggest producer, the biggest whoever to try to make your stuff sound a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you go wrong. You stray away from what people know you for.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can grow, but the key is to grow gradually.
Mm-hmm.
Can't go from your homeboy making the beats to a Pharrell beat and you don't even match. Like, it don't even fit your style.
But I got 1 million followers, Punch. Like,
you got to fight that.
But that's
You got to fight
I'm
it.
entitled to that, ain't I? He said, huh?
I give you a quick story. I told it before.
Uh-huh.
Good Kid, Mad City, that first official major label album.
Right.
Lady Gaga wanted to do Don't Kill My Vibe.
I heard that.
She wanted to do the hook. Now, this Lady Gaga at her peak.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean? Tens of millions of fans.
Mm-hmm.
So now we got Anna on there. Anna's unknown at the time, virtually.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we got a choice to make. It's like, do we go with potentially bring us more fans?
Right.
Or do we go with what we feel is the better record? So ultimately we chose to go with Anna and how she sounded on the record.
Excellent choice. No disrespect at all. Excellent choice, because I heard that version and I said, if we're taking the business out of it and we're just thinking about, and sometimes it's just a matter of the way the textures work and the contrast work, right? Yeah. But when I heard that, I said, oh, if I was in the studio, I'd know how that conversation went between, Punch Top and Daylyt. Like I'd know how that would work out. But I wonder, especially, as we already are very familiar with, some of the issues, of course, J-Rock had in the first deal, and then the lessons that you guys learned along the way. For a lot of people in that situation, there is the hesitation Now that you understand the game from a different lens, is a hesitation to not play into that.
Yeah.
What kept y'all so grounded in that moment?
We had to stick to our guns. We had to go with the integrity of the music.
Yeah.
But believe it was a conversation for sure.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't just like, nah, we ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, it went to like, I think the week of dropping.
Wow.
We was debating, going back and forth. But ultimately we chose what we felt like sounded like the better song.
Right.
I'm like, we can live with that.
Something that I think a lot of people, even myself, about those earlier years in TDE, that they would be very surprised unless they knew the names and they saw different names being utilized in the credits of directing, is that how DIY y'all were.
Yeah.
That was also my first time seeing. And it's funny because when I start listening to you interview and talk about the years, I'm like, that was 2 years. I came around 2006. This is 2 years in, and it already looks like a better old machine than I had ever seen.
Right.
But so much of that stuff was in-house to where everything that you pretty much needed. Like, I remember seeing the CDs were stacked up in the corner. I remember seeing, you know, whatever needed to be accomplished, it was within arm's reach, the engineer, and this is the situation. I think even in our first attempt to have this conversation, you talked about even you and Top were hands-on with the engineering.
Oh, 1,000%.
Wait, what?
Yeah. When I first really started going over there heavy, Top had started engineering.
That's wild.
So he's up all night. Like, Top is he's a perfectionist. And that nigga don't quit on nothing. So he's sitting there pushing these buttons, trying to figure out how to work.
Right.
He eventually got to the point where if an engineer worked on something, they could go in there and save their template. And when they leave and we do a new song, he'll pull their template up.
You know what? Funny enough, me and Top got that in common. I be bringing my the homie Oh Gosh over to cook up some stuff, and I'm like, you know what? That EQing, I'm about to keep that right there for sure.
It don't matter what the song, how different the textures was.
This the chain. We putting that spice on everything.
Yeah, so he was doing that, and then I started watching him do it.
Right.
So he'll leave and go upstairs to his room. Then I get down there and start messing with stuff. Like, I take sessions and copy it, strip it down, and try to mix it from scratch.
Right.
So then I became the engineer for a few years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't ever see no sessions, but I do remember everybody in there knew Pro Tools hotkeys, including Schoolboy Q.
Yeah.
So to hear him like talking the way Schoolboy talking, he like, man, just push R.
Yeah.
Because it was times where Ali couldn't be there. I remember the night before y'all shot the Turn Me Up Some video, I actually had spent a night in there, and I was making a beat. At first, I was making a beat for Kendrick, and I was over here being a try-hard because I knew what y'all was going to be. I knew it. I was over here being a try-hard making beats. So I was like, man, I just want to work over here. And Kendrick was like, hey, Kurt, you want to go to the, I think it was a Fox Sports a restaurant at Staples Center at the time. And I was like, no, I'm going to just sit here and work. And I'm sitting here working, and I'm like, ain't nobody even here. And then Schoolboy pops in there, and I ended up making a beat or whatever. And he's like, okay, I want to lay something down. And I'm like, I ain't never used Pro Tools at that time. And he was like, man, push R, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do that. But everybody was well-versed. In terms, because that's my brand, DIY, do it yourself. There's a lot of independent artists and DIYers in here who probably would be very inspired to hear that because, it pains me sometimes when I think of younger artists who think they're above doing certain tasks.
Right.
Like they're bigger than the program. To hear how hands-on you were. When I worked at Quiznos in Carson, you know what the first day I had, you know what the owner did? He tapped me on the shoulder and he said, hey, picked up a piece of trash and put it into the trash can. And he said, if I do that, what do you think I expect of you? And walked out. And I said, that's a valuable lesson.
Absolutely.
In terms of
I'll go even further. We had a show one day. It was J-Rock's show. So Dave was DJing.
You're right.
In between transitions, he would leave the DJ booth with posters and go hand them out in the crowd.
Stop.
I was at the merch booth.
Yeah.
Selling T-shirts. Top was upstairs recording the show.
No, hey, no, push the button, please, sir.
Right.
Push the button, please, sir. These are the moments we got to make sure that we timestamp. No round of applause. Just the button, you good. But yeah, oh my goodness. So wait a minute. Okay, so this is an operation where everybody is all hands on.
Yeah,
You said Top is recording at the top of the building.
absolutely.
Crazy.
He had the video camera out, getting the footage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody was working. Like, we didn't even have titles when we first started.
Mm-hmm.
Our title was Get It Done.
Get it done. What's interesting about that, I saw a study one time, I think it was done at Stanford, where they basically took Stanford students and they took a group of kindergartners, and the task that they had was to build a house out of popsicle sticks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they basically told them, they were going to time them.
Yeah.
Who you think won that? If you had to guess. The Stanford college students or the kids?
The kids, for sure.
Yes, the kids did, and their reasoning why was because nobody was fighting over whose position to do what.
Yeah.
I'm an engineer. I'm majoring this. I'm supposed to da-da-da-da, and all of that stuff stopped things. It's dope to hear about how much humility that was, how much of being.
That's interesting though. Real quick, like,
Yeah, go ahead.
cause once you, I think the more knowledge you gain at certain things,
Mm-hmm.
the more it taints the purity of what's going on.
Yeah.
See, like, those kids don't have an idea of the hierarchy at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make it easier for them to work together,
Yeah.
as opposed to these college kids where,
I'm not doing that. You know who
Yeah,
I? You know
for
how
sure.
much? And the kids is like, okay, you do this. Okay, I do this, and I help.
yeah,
It's just no pride. Not no pride. There's no ego involved into that situation.
exactly.
It's crazy to hear stories now at this age, because at that young age, everything seemed like it was working.
Mm-hmm.
Everything seemed like it was working. I remember seeing everything Usher, and I know I'm jumping all over the story, but seeing things Usher even into the blog age, and seeing how much everything that you guys were doing was being received. I'm curious though, personally, was there ever a time where you guys thought to yourself, if this doesn't happen, TDE might be done? In those early years.
No, not TDE done. I think it was more of us as individuals being personally done. You know what I mean? Because everybody still had bills they had to pay, had life that was happening. So no money's coming in during the building stage. So you got to figure out how to make things pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was doing all type of stuff. I remember Schoolboy almost missed being in Black Hippy.
How?
He was on a trip up north. I ain't gonna say what he was doing on his trip up north,
Right.
but he was on a trip up north. That day, we was shooting the Black Hippy freestyle.
Oh, wow.
He literally walked through the door
Mm-hmm.
right before the camera started rolling.
When it's divine, it's divine. It's supposed to happen.
Bro. So they was like, yo, you got a verse?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I got a verse. I just wrote something on the plane.
Yeah.
Kicked this verse, everybody did their verse. That was the first Black Hippy thing.
Right.
But to your point, he had to be outside trying to figure out what he was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
He got bills, he got family, you know what I mean? It's all type of stuff popping. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of adversity for sure. But the overall purpose never changed.
One thing I thought was really interesting when I started to see those younger years of TDE and the artists in particular was how well versed they were on not just West Coast, gangster rap, but just hip hop in general. I remember for fun, I'm listening to J-Rock, Schoolboy, Ab-Soul, and Kendrick rap from the perspective of different Wu-Tang members.
Yeah.
For fun.
Exactly.
That's why when any conversations about battling came up, I said, do you understand? And this is the picture I'm painting. I want to make sure people understand. I'm painting this picture because this is the young perspective I had seeing this. And I'm like, this ain't normal.
Yeah.
And these niggas was doing this off a pan of fries from Louisiana Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
A pan of fries. I'm like, y'all are operating this off a pan of fries and just going to work?
Absolutely.
Different environment, different time. But I think that's so crucial. What was the mindset behind making sure that your artists took their time with their projects?
Well, I mean, it's always quality over quantity.
Right.
Like that'll never change, ever, no matter what. Now, how fast you can get that quality done is on you.
Right.
But we still want it to be quality when we put it out. So my thing is, get your full story out. Whatever picture you're trying to paint,
Yeah.
let's get the full thing out. Then we'll put it out.
Mm.
It's really simple.
Yeah. You say that, and then go create one of the most influential situations of the world. Because folks right now taking notes, and it's like, it's more. It's more. You should know. It's more. It's going on.
People think it's like some imaginary button. Like I've been hearing that a lot lately.
Oh yeah, you talking about the industry plan button?
Yeah, like.
You know what? Hold off on that one because I got a question from shout out to my cousin Moni.
Mm-hmm.
She I have a little guest question if you didn't mind. We're gonna bring that up at some point. But
Yep.
yeah, it's insane the kind of narratives that are out here. I told you I wanted to focus in on your origin story too as an artist because when I listen to verses that you've had on the earlier projects, it always stood out as a level of comfort and confidence and a level of directness that you usually hear that person making them their career the center focus. Right. You don't usually see that person being the one that is responsible for guiding other people. You say in a few interviews that from the jump you didn't really have the goal of being an artist that was the main focus.
No, I never did. It was purely for the love of making music.
Right.
Like I love the whole process. I love to write. I love the fact that there's nothing there and then we lead a spot with a whole song.
Yeah, amazing feeling.
You know what I mean? That's out of thin air. So it's like, it's just the love, bro. There's nothing more to it.
Who were your earliest influences when it came to your approach to writing?
I take it all the way back to when I was in the 3rd grade. They was reading a story about the 3 little pigs, but it was from the wolf's perspective. So like it was the wolf's whole story.
Right.
And I usually get it this big bad wolf.
Right.
But now you get it like, yo, he just coming to borrow a cup of sugar. And the hay accidentally went in his nose and he sneezed and blew the house down on accident.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like just the fact that this is the same story, but a different perspective, intrigued me from that age all the way up.
Interesting.
So I always wanted to tell stories.
So basically what you're telling me is that now we know the 3 little pigs were just actually Karens. They're just pink Karens. That's what you're basically telling me now from that perspective.
Bro, look that book up. It's still around.
I didn't know that's an actual book. I've never read that book.
I looked it up recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's an actual book. Like, it's crazy.
I mean, y'all got the thing about it that I think is unique about every single artist, including yourself. This is why I'm diving into that. I know that's a very important influence to perspective and how you're approaching writing, but y'all are so well versed on so many different artists. Who is somebody that as we speak to you guys on a highlight in terms of what their capabilities are as an artist, who's somebody that early on, no matter what era that is, kind of represents that for you?
So I go back to my pops was a mixtape DJ in the projects. So he would always make tapes for people. This was R&B and early hip hop.
Right.
So he used to constantly play The Show by Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick.
Nice.
Like we would go pick my mama up from work. He'd just run it on replay. Yeah. Push rewind and go back to it. You know what I'm saying? So that was my earliest like influence to where I'm like, yo, it's kind of cool. I learned all the lyrics. We rap it back and forth to each other. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was some of my earliest stuff that stuck out to me.
You see, I'm getting into these questions that I'm asking you specifically as an artist myself. These are things I've always wanted to ask you. Yeah. I'm grateful that you're here, by the way. You've coached some of the best lyricists we've seen in this generation, in my opinion. What makes someone a lyricist in your eyes?
It's tough to define it, but the basics of it is how you word things. For me,
Yeah.
like I said, if you give me, it's only so many different human stories. You just get, you're just giving it from a different perspective.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you got a unique perspective and haven't heard something before, that draws me to you right away.
What was it about? And you don't have to say individually, but what are you listening for when you're listening to a new artist? Specifically, let's talk with rapper, because obviously you have expanded into out of the stratosphere. You know, to the point where my son is doing school projects, and he says, you know, my favorite things in the world are tacos, fruits, and SZA. And I'm okay. You said that's a crazy combination. What separates? Because I know you've heard so many artists through your time. I know you've heard so many different styles and different folks. What are you listening for when you're saying, nah, this kid's got it?
With me, it's originality.
Right.
I mean, I want to hear you be original and be you. Like, who are you as an artist? After that, I want to see what your vision is like. You know what I'm saying? See if you have goals or a purpose to how you want to take this thing.
Right.
And the last thing for me is work ethic. If you got those things, then we can figure something out.
Yeah, that's something that I never saw an artist in that situation. I don't care what the situation, what time it was. Every artist I saw in that environment was always working. I'm curious now, though. What's your current view on lyricism and its role in today's hip hop, and kind of the keys that y'all have found through all the artists, I mean, including Doechii, to have it thrive commercially?
It's always the same stuff with me, bro. It don't really change.
Yeah.
It's when you say something that affects a person's life. That's really it.
Yeah.
However you do it in your way, that's how it go. Like I used to have certain boundaries and standards and this and that.
Right.
Then I come to mature and understand that everything ain't for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're effectively communicating with the people you want to communicate to,
right,
and they getting it, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna listen, but if it's working, go for it.
If it's working, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talked about a story, and it's funny because I was there that day where there was it wasn't a release. What was the event that was at Magic Disc Store? There's all of these videos that are up there. Dot is up there. It's an event for Dot for sure.
Yeah.
And a young lady walks up to him and talks about how his music, just staying in the theme of authenticity, his music helped her get through some really, really challenging times. Could you kind of speak to that just to kind of refresh the minds of people who never heard that?
Yeah, it was I think it was the Kendrick Lamar EP.
That's what it was, right?
We was doing some sort of event based around that. So a young lady came up and she told him that the song Faith stopped her from doing something to herself. That's the record I'm on.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, this is the whole purpose right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not about the money. It's not fame. It's not whatever. It's about whatever we said on this record.
Right.
Did something to affect this young lady's life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And from that point on, I understood, okay, we got to be honest. And we got to tell these stories because it's going to reach people.
Yeah. I remember a hashtag that you guys had around that time, human music.
Yeah.
Human
Absolutely.
music.
Yeah.
And it reinforced the difference of what we were hearing. Because, you know, there's a lot of people who take this title on. There's a lot of people who sit down to make this music, but there's not a lot of people who, and it's funny because I read this in a songwriting book that had nothing to do with rap. It was a general songwriting book that talked about artists not having the ability to process their trauma.
Yeah.
And how much they'll talk about, you know, they'll say things like you or we, and they'll take it away from I, or they'll do the opposite and it's me, I. and they don't take into consideration the we or the culture, the things that are around them. I think that's something that every one of the artists have been very, very conscious of. J-Rock when he's telling stories, Schoolboy when he's telling stories, of course, Kendrick and Saul when they're telling stories has always been about making sure the lens, it may start here proximity-wise, but it's going to always get a little bit broader to what's around. And it was no mystery around that time. The human music, that's what it was being echoed.
Nah, for sure. It's a lot to that. Like when these artists are making music, you get confused by what the music business is doing. And you think that people that's been in the music business know what's best. So you kind of lose track of the human element. You just start looking at business. That's why we was talking about human music. We saying stuff that actually affects lives as opposed to making the girl song or the club song.
I hate those terms, by the way.
You know what I'm saying? But it's tough on a young artist because you thinking you're getting the right guidance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This record company did it before, so they telling me I should do it this way. Let me follow that way.
Right.
And that's how I go. But if you stick to the very basic elements of it, we all human. We all go through the same similar struggles. So if you honest with that, people gonna relate.
Yeah, and I think it's needed more so than ever, right? We mention it, but you talk about the different eras in which music has gone through in terms of commercially and where things are at, and y'all have been able to withstand the test of time, and it's crazy to see y'all get into different genres, seeing the work that you're doing with SZA, and it's like, even in this arena, the motto, the mantra, the principles still stand.
Yeah.
And when you're able to make that something that is a commercial success and something that you can monetize, there's not a whole lot anybody can tell you.
Nah, it's a proven formula. It works.
Yeah. At what point did you see Kendrick's rise become inevitable?
The day I met him.
The day you met him. What is it?
Literally, the first day.
Yeah.
I heard him first. His mixtape was in the studio, the first mixtape he did. So I took it and was listening to it in the car. I'm like, oh, okay. This kid can rap. He sound like Jay-Z and Lil Wayne. I'm like, yeah, that's dope. So maybe a week later, I walk in the studio and he's in there. And I'm watching him build this chorus. Like his stacks, his harmonies, his melodies. And he's doing this first before he did any verse or anything.
Right.
I'm like, oh, this kid's a songwriter. He know how to make a song. He know how to make music. It's not just rap. Then he added the verses to it. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This kid's going to be amazing. He's going to be great.
Right.
Like from the first day.
Yeah. At that time, was he, I mean, from what I remember, the approach wasn't writing things down.
Nah. He wasn't writing at all.
What is the science behind that? Because when Soul did it at in his early 20s and he came to my grandmother's patio when he did that, I was texting the homie Grandma. I was like, yo, does he not feeling the beat? Like, am I doing something wrong? He sat back in the chair, and I kid you not, about 15 minutes later, he stands up and says, I'm ready. I said, ready for what, sir? And he gets up there and delivers a verse, and I'm literally watching him. Like, he got the glasses on, so he's going back in his head, and I can see him, like, kind of rolling his eyes back, and then he'll forget a line in the same way, because I'm always been on the paper, right? I'm very, like, analog with that. And I would look at a line and say, oh, what did I say there? Okay, let me change that. I'd see him doing this on some Beautiful Mind shit, where he's like, no, what did I say? Okay, to the point where I've compared what I see with him and with Dot, almost like when you're seeing Bleak Gilliam in Mo Better Blues, right?
Yeah.
When he's, what is the science behind that? And do you think that there's an advantage to the artists that you've seen utilize that approach?
It's funny, Jay, when they asked Jay-Z about it, and say he inspired a nation of bad writers, or a generation of bad writers.
I saw a video about that. I covered that for sure.
That's hilarious. But even with his explanation, Jay is like, he was getting further and further away from his notebook.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he in the street,
Mm-hmm.
but he still got these ideas. So he like, the only way to really get them done is to memorize them now at this point.
Right.
So I think Dot got that from him.
Okay. So it's been like that from day one. That's what you.
From day one with Dot, yeah.
That's incredible.
The first day Soul did it
Yeah.
was the first day he did a song with Dot and Rock in the studio.
That is insane.
Because Dot was in there writing his parts in his head.
Yeah.
So looking at him, like, oh, I ain't never writing again. He put his pen down.
Interesting.
And he started doing it the same way.
That's crazy. Okay. Well, then now that it's funny how the timeline mixes itself up. I'm thinking that when he came to my, that was not that time. That had to be around another time. Then regardless of what it is,
But two also was so,
yeah.
his sight is not the best.
Right.
So he was thinking eventually, like, he gonna have to get to that point anyway. So that part was just the spark for it.
Out of necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've attempted, as I've gotten on this live stream, I've attempted, and it gave me a better appreciation for what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like they had the luxury of being in their own studio all day long. Everybody had to go in that booth.
Oh yeah, that's the difference.
Had to rotate through everything.
But real quick on that, still even more on that, Dot was he said the reason he would do it is because it gives him more freedom.
I was gonna say something about that. Continue though. Yeah.
Freedom of how to express it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're writing it, you kind of confined to the lines. For him personally,
right. And it's funny, that was the loop that I wanted to close on. That. Yes, excellent point. And that's what I noticed beyond the appreciation is that instead of doing this, right? I took a speech interpretation class one time where they said take a few words at a time.
Yeah.
And then recite what you're going to recite. Yep. And in my mind, it was like, you're asking me to memorize a line at a time, pretty much. I'm thinking of what that process is. It's less about reading it as you wrote it, because now you're hard pronouncing certain words. Now you're not, and there's a certain like rhythm that you can only achieve through that process and doing that.
Yeah, it's more so like when you write speeches.
Yeah.
They encourage you to do bullet points.
Yes.
So the whole thing is not to remember word from word, but remember the idea. And when you get the idea, you can flip it and play with it a little bit more.
Right.
As opposed to being stuck line from line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's the same principle.
Okay, I don't care what y'all say. Y'all was in there. Y'all was some maniacs, bro. Y'all was some maniacs. Y'all was some geniuses. And seeing the work ethic, seeing everything. It to me, it was never a matter of if, but a matter of when.
Yeah.
And I imagine there was a lot of false starts and things that could have gone certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
But in seeing that, I always had the memory, even when I wasn't necessarily working as much with solo, and I would kind of go on my own journey. In my back of my mind, I would say this feels like boot camp. How much of that was intentional? Like, was there ever a time where it was like, okay, certain things don't need to be said, and then now we need to lock in because I wonder if after the whole J-Rock situation with the label, if there was a situation where it was like, okay, you have the what's his name, Lethal Shooter. I understand it now. Mm-hmm. Was there ever one of those moments moving forward? I should say.
There was a ton of those moments, but back to the man, you just said something. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. So we're talking about.
You said boot camp.
Boot camp. Yeah.
So, my pops used to have this saying. He say, your energy is exerted where your focus is. And I think that was just the basic principle. Everybody had the same purpose, so we congregated in the same spot.
Right.
And we did what needed to be done. We didn't have to be told.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was always encouragement or you need to pull up more.
Right.
But other than that, like, we knew who we needed to be. And that's where we end up being.
something I need to speak on, and you know, excuse me if feel like I'm running back on the same thought, but I gotta bring this up because I told my mama, shout out my mama, hashtag our retire Rochelle this year is what my goal is.
Yeah.
Rochelle went to Carson High. Rochelle was very familiar with the area, and I told her before I was going to have a studio session with Ab-Soul. She was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to Top Dog's house. She said, Top Dog? She said, what Top Dog? And then she said his name. I said his name, and she said, okay.
Yeah.
All right, you know, just you know, be you know. I said, you know them over there? I said, I know them over, like I know Soul. First time I ever got invited, I went to the studio. The house.
Yeah.
The infamous house that so many things got done, including a music video for Khaled at one point in time. I remember seeing that's crazy. But I went to that house. I called Soul. I said, yo, Soul, I'm outside. You know, can you come outside? Because, you know, I lived in Carson and I knew what area I was in. I was looking around. I was like, all right, cool. Let's see how this go. And Soul was like, I'm not over there. I'm coming home from a show, but you should be good. Just pop the gate and go to the back house.
Yeah.
Pop the gate and go back to the back house. Well, I walked up very, 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 very carefully, and I could not help but to have the feeling that there were eyes on me.
Mm-hmm.
I proceed to open the gate, and immediately a head pops out the door and says, little nigga, who is you?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, this must be Top Dog. And for lack of a better term, because we on YouTube, Curtis could have got his TV turned off that day had I not moved, had I not done some code switching. Like, hey, but I only say that to say, I can only imagine how much confidence that can give an artist to know how protected they are. Right? I know what it was when I was at my brokest.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how I was going to get my next meal, but then also figure out like what am I going to do to this verse? How am I going to approach this? What am I going to talk about? How am I going to talk about it? I say this, when life stabilized, I found a lot more patience and security that added a deal of quality to my art. How much emphasis did you guys put on making sure that environment was only people that were there to protect the investment that was what you were building?
Man, that was extremely important. And artists just knew that that's what it was off rip.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have to be something that was discussed or anything. Like, that was home.
Right.
It was home to a point where Q moved in and didn't even tell nobody.
What you mean? What y'all found out last minute? Like, you've been here for a few
days. You know how the
studio
is, right?
Right.
Pop your head in there at 3-4 in the morning. Q, hurry up and get up off the couch and wipe his eyes like he was writing. You gotta finish this record.
Right. I'm just
like, nigga, you live here. Hey, what are you doing? But now that's how it was for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, Soul had a line to say, only time I lie in the booth is when I sleep in it. Literally, like, couches in the booth. Things would be laid out, sleep in the booth.
Yeah, I spent the night there one time.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't stay past my welcome.
Right.
But I stayed one night, and but you guys created that environment so that it felt, it was able to do that.
It was family environment. Like, everybody had access to the full house.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can go in the next room, go in the refrigerator. You can go chill and watch TV on the big screen.
Right.
I mean, play the game or shoot pool.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what I mean? It was a full family environment, and everybody knew that they were protected.
Right.
Like, we didn't have to go through what a lot of these dudes go through or went through.
But once again, I got to keep stressing because I'm telling you, when I was doing videos, when this battle was winding up, the battle.
Right.
And I'm gonna approach these conversations very, very carefully because, you know, look, I understand who I'm in front of and I want to respect it all. But I tell you, the first thought that came to mind is what I'm talking to you about right now is the discipline. Yeah. Is the organization, is the sometimes, what's the word I've been using? I can't think of the more word, but the maniac work ethic that I saw. I remember talking to Ali one night, had to be like midnight, and he just looks over at me and he's like, this nigga Kendrick is out of his mind, bro. And I said, what do you mean? He says, he put up a external drive. He's like, it's nothing but music on here.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything about his work ethic, not to make it, you know, like a competition, was there anything about his work ethic that you saw that was different? Or his approach, at least?
Different, yes. But everybody had their different thing and how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, Rock could come in and he'll do the most volume of records.
Most volume?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he'll knock out 3 to 4 records. Then he out of there. He gone. You know what I'm saying? Soul would not come to the studio for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd be living life.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he'd come, he'd knock out half an album.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Dot'd get in every day, but he work in pieces. Like he'd do a chorus on this song, he'd do a bridge on another record.
Mm-hmm.
He'd do 2 verses on another record, then go back to that other where the bridge was on and write the hooks.
Right.
And just do it like a full puzzle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Q get it in too. He'd come in, kick his shoes off. And he like to write on the laptop.
Yeah.
He kick his shoes off, toes twiddling, fingers going, writing.
I'm sorry, the image of him and these raps that he got being on the laptop
Right.
is crazy right
Insane,
now.
right? Yeah.
Yak,
Right.
yak is crazy.
Exactly. That's how it was. Like everybody had their own thing.
Right.
And worked equally as hard.
Mm-hmm.
Just different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't expect no artist to do things the same way.
Was there ever a time that you had, and this is a very weird question, was there ever a time that you had to like pull it back a bit? Like, you know, because I've had, for me at least, I've had a lot of people come into my life, look at the bags into my eyes and say, you look like shit.
Yeah, you need to get outside.
Yeah, if you believe that this is going to be something that's going to work, then you should sleep like you believe it's going to work. Mm-hmm. Was there ever a time that you was kind of like one of the folks that they look up to, had to have that conversation?
Hey, it's been times, yo, man, it'll take a couple of days off and relax.
Yeah.
Go get a shower.
Go get a shower. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I say all that preparing this next set of questions because I can only imagine the immense amount of pride that you have in everybody and everywhere where they come to be, because everywhere they go, it is no mystery. When I see even the newer artists that I didn't get a chance to meet in person there, and their success, I'm like, none of this is by accident. At this point, there's a system that is in place. But man, oh man, how proud were you to see Kendrick's Super Bowl performance and the full circle moment it represented?
Oh, it was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, man, truly a full circle moment. This whole year, you know what I mean, the past 2 years has been a full circle moment. Right. Even with like Dot leaving the label to go start his own thing, to coming back, now we together doing this stadium run. Incredible. Even the Super Bowl, he pulled SZA in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shows the strength of the family. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why I think it was an amazing thing when I saw the behind the scenes clip and I'm seeing you there with Dot and on the set of the Luther video. Yeah. Tell Dot, by the way, I'm still angry that he blew up the spot, the West End Bonaventure. It's one of the most comfortable beds in the world. I just know it's about to be all kind of TikTokers out there who gonna be like, this is the place of it. Oh my God. But enough. Hilarious. What I loved about it is that to me it still has the same foundation in that y'all are never afraid to tell stories. No matter what's going on with the rest of the industry, what's going on with the rest of music, y'all are never afraid to tell the story that you want to tell. And now it's being met with, I mean, the viewership on just that video is insane in the first few days. Bro, it's nuts. And it's a love story. Imagine that in 2025. Right. In the Pop the Balloon era where they're trying to convince us we don't like each other. A classic love story. What it is just a good record. And it's amazing. That's where it starts. Right. It's a good song. It's honest. I mean, it's something that people feel. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. It's classic. It got the Tammy Terrell, Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross, Cheryl. Come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? You don't get more classic than that. Y'all know good. Y'all know amazing records. It's no mystery. All right, Punch. I got some questions, man. What you got? Man, you know, look. I know that you know how to maneuver this situation. I'm not gonna be messy. DIYers, I'm not here to be messy, but damn it. Dog, go in. I got questions, man. Look.
Where the hell does this start? Is it the control verse that this whole Kendrick versus Drake situation? Do you know where that starts, or can you even speak on where that may start?
I can give you my perspective.
Okay.
And yeah, to my perspective, that's where it started.
Yeah.
You know, Dot did the whole thing, and it's a competition thing,
Right.
not a I hate you thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? We rapping. I'm trying to be better than everybody. You should be too.
Right.
So a lot of people took it personal.
Why do you think that was missed, especially when we know this is a highly competitive environment?
Dog, it was all the light skinned niggas.
That's why I want to be traded from this team. I told y'all, trade me. My mama named me D''WAN.
Bro, no, I'm joking, but I'm kind of serious at the same time.
No, you're not. You're not joking. I'm with you. I agree.
Pusha T was mentioned, right?
Right.
Pusha T tweeted Dot and said, I hear you loud and clear, Kendrick Lamar.
What's the confusion?
Meek Mill seen Dot in the club,
Yeah.
walked up and shook his hand, said, I got to get you back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When my guy Cole seen Dot, they ended up escalating to the fight with him and Puff.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying? Then with Drake, he doing interviews like he really upset about it.
He was very upset. That Elliot Wilson one was telling.
Right. And like that kind of threw everybody for a loop. It's like, huh? Like, what we doing?
Especially when once again I keep pointing back to the roots of things, and that you were in a room, like even Ali talked about it. He's like, he knows how much of a blessing it was to be in an environment where it was highly competitive with not just 4 artists.
Yeah.
Anybody who could any given point in time could be somebody's main artist.
Yep.
And it's going to be competitive, especially when you got that going.
Thing though, like what we didn't take into consideration is everybody didn't come up that way. So it was second nature for us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But everybody didn't have that same thing.
How much of that do you attest to in terms of the reaction? Also, maybe some inner biases that exist for West Coast, or do you at all?
What you mean?
I'm noticing there's a certain nature, even for somebody that's not a street dude. I'm not a street dude, but there's a certain level of directness that I feel like living out here has given me. And I don't recognize how direct it is until I'm talking to some of my East Coast counterparts, and they like, well, why you say it like that? And I'm like, what did I say?
Yeah.
And I don't realize there's a style difference in the way things are said. Even the way somebody said, Curtis, why you say car like core? And I said, I don't even notice when it happens. But Dot said, nah, niggas don't like the West Coast. I'm fine with it. I'll push the line with it.
Yeah, that's been a theme for sure. But I always say that LA in particular is gangbang culture first.
Right.
Hip hop culture after that. You know what I mean? It's different for other spaces.
Right.
So our approach is always semi-aggressive.
Right.
Even if you're not a street dude. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
like what you just saying.
Right.
Like, kind of trying to see what's happening. Like, what we doing?
Yeah.
And that's just the West Coast mentality. And a lot of people just don't like that. That might make people uncomfortable or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But, just difference in culture for some.
So on record, what you're saying is West Coast light skins are different, is what you just said.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll take that.
Absolutely.
A win is a win. A win is a win. And I'm playing.
I get emotional, but
look, I'm trying to walk.
Still aggressive.
See, he's not gonna let us have no win. Today we not look. We didn't got set back years. Man, but I think about that control, and when I heard it, I was like, damn it, this always needs to be an element of hip hop culture. Anything involved, I don't care if it's mainstream rap, whatever. However you want to separate it, there should always be an element of that. Beyond the high yellowness, what do you think it is that people miss? What do you think it is people miss in terms of, people are like these are the same artists that are competitive about record sales.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing you see some of them use when they do end up being at odds with somebody else. Why was that missed when it was such a wide net? Because he wasn't just talking about one rapper. It was the whole gang. Even the people on the damn record with him.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I don't know, man. It's just, I can't explain where that comes from other people.
Right.
Or why they feel the way they felt. To me, I know it was friendly competition.
Right.
It's like we on the court, we playing basketball. I'm trying to win the game.
That part.
I mean, we can go get something to eat after, whatever it is, but while we playing, I'm elbowing you, you know what I mean? I'm shoulders is going crazy.
Right. It's like a pickup game.
Yeah, well, it's still love.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate you, my nigga. It's cool. Like, we good money. But again, everybody wasn't raised that way.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Well, we saw, as I'm gonna just give the vantage point. Now I don't. Now I'm removed from the TDE group because I didn't. Y'all went out. Y'all was skyrocketing. I was grateful to be able to say, like, I know these dudes, and I was grateful to see y'all when I saw y'all. You know, it's funny. I was telling stories for years about back in my TDE days, and my wife was like, "When's the last time you talked to him?" And I pulled up on my guy B Fresh's release party, and I seen Daylyt, and he was like, "Man, you doing good for yourself." I said, "See, but I want to dive more into this category now." So over the years, we as a listener saw what seemed to be subliminals thrown on both sides. Yeah. Or even at least could be interpreted as that. And, because we don't really get a lot of interviews from Daylyt, or we don't really get, or the other folks who are involved in it are not as direct, we never really know until we knew. Yeah. As it is approaching to that time, I'm curious, what was the energy like internally when the Kendrick versus Drake battle first kicked off? And let's talk about specifically what that verse.
It had been bubbling for a while.
Right.
You know what I mean? We was pretty closed mouth about it. Didn't say much. You'll hear little subliminals. But I got to the point now where I'm like, I'm going to speak on it if somebody asks me.
Right.
Because now it's about legacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, usually we just let things go how they go. Right. We know what the truth is or whatever, but now it's like, okay, I speak on certain things. So I was, I think I was just getting ready to go out of town on tour with SZA when Daylyt came by the studio. So I didn't see him. I missed him. Mm-hmm. And he played the record for Top. You know what I mean? And I talked to Top. He told me a little bit about the record. Then I hit Daylyt. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's going down? He said, yeah, let's see what's up.
Hey, what was his demeanor?
Laughing.
See, that just makes it even more crazy. Yeah. What you mean laugh? Just this is...
People think that it's so serious and this whole thing. Like, that stuff is funny. This nigga's from Compton, California, bro.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? Like, where you grew up at, it's serious over there. Right. You know what I'm saying? You getting shot at. You getting home invasions. You getting gang wars. Nigga, we talking about music, bro. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's funny. Right. You know what I mean? So I hear the record. I'm like, yeah, it's up. It's go time now, baby. But it's still for fun in the spirit of competition. Right. All right, here you go, nigga. Ain't no big three. Mm-hmm. It's this.
What was your impression when you heard first person shooter? Did you hear it at that point? Or was it even on your radar? I know you got a lot of responsibilities as working with SZA, but was that something that came on your radar at first too?
Honestly, not in that way. Right. I heard it. But I mean, the nigga Drake do so many subliminal shots, it's like, I can't keep up. Like, for real.
These are facts.
And they dope too. Don't get me wrong. Like, the boy can rap for sure. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I can't keep up and try to keep dissecting everything that's being said. Right. But Dot felt the way.
Oh yeah, he sure did. And you know what I loved about, because it's funny. Here we are. You know, today's the 18th of April. Mm-hmm. Look at God. That's how I know God got a sense of humor.
What? It's the anniversary or something?
Tomorrow is the day that the first song, or the first response, I guess you could say it, from Drake, Push Ups, dropped.
Oh, for real?
April 19th.
That's crazy.
God got an amazing sense of humor. And I'm sitting here in front of Punch right now one time. Come on. So that dropped. And I got my own theories about things. I'll reserve them because I already got videos. But when I saw the first song, the same question I had about when I was watching this battle with Rum Nitty and Daylyt, and he brought your name up, and I said, you know, there's certain things we just don't do. There's certain things I came up. Like I said, I'm not a street dude, but there's certain things that I just say,
Yeah.
certain things you just don't do. And I just, when I see things, my skin starts to crawl.
Right.
When I heard some of the things being said in push-ups, my skin starts to crawl because I'm like, now I don't think Drake was able to decipher the difference between when Dot says a friendly fade and when things can get personal.
Right, for sure.
Now that we know things are kicking off, what's kind of your response in seeing push-ups?
My first response was, it's not enough. It's not enough. It was cool. It was cute. I see where you're going.
Right.
But those angles not going to be enough. Hey, as simple as that. Plus, was number 1 on the charts.
What was that?
Like that.
Like the show. It was going crazy.
Yeah.
And see, that to me, what's funny is that no matter what his current circumstances are, I still see so much DNA in a moment like that.
Yeah.
For a record like that, for the artist that it's with. That's a highly competitive hip hop verse.
Yeah.
On a club record.
Right.
And I'm watching, like, Punch, y'all did something, and we're going to have to get to this because it is literally transforming channels like my own who've been wanting to talk about this stuff for a long time, the culture. But the culture did get into a certain place where, you know, the algorithms that be, I can't even say powers that be, the algorithms that be quieted a lot of it. But when I started seeing all the videos popping up and I'm seeing demographics that I don't usually see, bar for bar reciting what he's saying, I don't know how somebody doesn't see. I gotta tread carefully with this. That's a verse we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, it's like none of the world powers that ruled the world actually seen when they was gonna face destruction.
One more time, you said none of the world powers.
Yeah, that was dominant at the time. Like if you look at anywhere from Babylon to Medo-Persia to Egypt, whoever, it was so powerful that they didn't see a situation where they would fall. So you kind of missed it.
Right.
I mean, you get into decadence and this whole thing, and before you know it, your whole camp's surrounded.
I want to can you drop a book? I want to master this art of talking because I'm saying it's certain times I didn't say it too much. You say just enough. Cheers to you, sir. Okay. In true maniac fashion is what I call. My thing is I love a healthy level of maniac. I got it in me. I love a little bit of crazy. As people are gassing that Push-Ups record, as people are gassing the moment, and then we get a follow up with the tailor-made freestyle, which I just at that point I'm like, okay, what's going on here? To me, I read that as, okay, it sounds like someone might be getting nervous because it's too quiet on this side.
I read it as his first mistake.
How so?
Because to me it felt like a mockery of the West Coast.
Absolutely.
So when you do that, you're gonna unite it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it was any type of division or anything at that time, once you do that,
right,
you're going to get all the people together. You're going to congregate them.
Hearing an AI version of Tupac's voice delivered by that guy has never made me want to rip off the high yellowness off me. I seen it and got cringe when I seen it because I said, there's no way in hell. And then you're seeing, but see, here's the added element. Mistakes are made in every battle. The added element that got me is some of the things that you see in the political sphere now entering the hip hop media sphere.
Yeah.
And now you're getting a pushback with a lot of different outlets that are trying to help a moment where maybe they themselves were a little bit nervous about it. Because I remember If I'm speaking to specifics, I remember DJ Academics was counting down days and saying, 3 days since, we haven't seen a response. In the back of my mind, Punch, I said it in a video, I said, after this TaylorMade, I said, good God, you're going to get a master class coming up.
Yeah.
I saw the way y'all worked.
And that you know what? And you privy to that. Everybody else didn't see that.
Yeah.
And everybody think we don't put out enough music.
Mm-hmm.
So they took that as some sort of weakness, as if nobody's working.
Right. And you yourself just said Solo would take a few weeks off, come back and put half an album down.
Absolutely.
It's like,
for sure.
This is the environment that you're second guessing. Well, me being privy to it, I couldn't even see that.
Even if you go back to it, right?
Yeah.
That put out an album every year and a half.
Right.
For years, all the way up to Damn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The only delay was Big Steppers.
Big Steppers is right. Okay.
In that time, we had a full pandemic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which people don't account for.
Right.
So it's like you got to give at least 3 years to that. Because you don't know the state of what's happening, what's going on with the world.
Right.
So from that, the narrative became, you don't put out enough music. Like, oh, you didn't do the history.
Yeah.
You missed the whole thing.
This is why we're jumping around, because now I get to put a pin in this and say, I remember when Dot was dropping music all the fucking time on Two Dope Boys.
Absolutely.
And it was like it was to the point where he would have a single for his single for his single.
Yeah.
If you want to look at it from the old terminology of a music industry, putting out music was never the issue.
Never. And it's still not the issue.
Right, we see that now.
Yeah,
hit the bomb on that one, Deshaun. I think we've seen
Somebody's gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
those of us who are big fans of what Kendrick does, and man, it's dope for me to be able to separate me getting to know the person, but then also getting an opportunity to enjoy this and be like, yo, that what I went to Pac for.
Yeah.
I'm getting what I was hoping to get from 3 Stacks at some point.
Mm-hmm.
He found a way to do it in his own way and make it his own story. And from day one, he told you what the mission was.
Yeah.
And never strayed.
Never strayed. Stuck to being honest.
Stuck to being honest. And then, Lord, oh Lord,
Mm-hmm.
that waiting period is so diabolical, Punch. Because when things started to like, oh, he ain't coming back outside, we're done here, it got quiet.
Yeah.
And then Euphoria drops.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that you heard Euphoria beforehand.
What's crazy is, like I said, I had to go on tour.
Oh, you had to go on tour. That's right. Okay.
So I'm in Australia when it kick off.
Wait a minute. Slow it down. You're in Australia.
Yeah.
The irony. Continue.
That's hilarious. So we out there, SZA doing her shows, and I called Dot like, yo, I need to hear this record. Because we had been talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm going to fly home. So we had a gap of about, I think, 3 or 4 days between shows.
Right.
I took that flight from Australia all the way back home.
Oh, wow.
Went to the studio. He pulled up on, it was a Room Full of Mirrors session.
Yeah.
He pulled up. I played the whole Room Full of Mirrors album first.
Yeah.
Then I made everybody leave.
You made it.
Yeah.
No pushback. I know folks had to put their ear to the door or
It
something.
was funny. Everybody left right when the booth.
Yeah.
A huge booth. And he played me the joint. It was playing through the earphones in the booth.
Oh, so they could.
So
Oh,
everybody
wow.
heard it anyway.
So they had to act like they didn't hear nothing. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, wish I could hear that record.
Bruh.
There was rumors that there was an 18-minute version of that. Had you ever heard anything about that?
I don't know the length, but it was definitely longer.
There was
Yeah, it was definitely longer than the version that the world got.
yeah.
So it was a lot of stuff that didn't make it on there.
What perspective can you give us about? Look at he over here tripping out. What perspective can you share with us about the version we never heard?
It was just some things in there that I didn't think would have been beneficial in the long run to put in there. So I gave him my input on that or whatever. So he took some of those things out.
Now, Kendrick infamously said, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5 in stock. I know I'm moving out, but I want to ask this specific question because I still want to walk down the timeline. Have you had a chance to hear the mother 5 in stock?
Nah.
Okay, so moving along the timeline. We talked about, so what is that? That is Euphoria. And then what is the next one we get? We get do we finally get we don't get Family Matters. There's another one that was a leak that happened in between.
We get 616 in LA. Right before that is
that's the timeline that I had to think about. Yeah. So 616, you know what's crazy, Punch?
Oh, he has that Buried Alive.
That's the one I was talking about. I know I always missed that one because I didn't listen to that one. That's the one I didn't listen. At this point, I said, I have this theory, and I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I have this theory that he started just dropping shit to see what Dot was going to do next because he wanted to see his damn self.
Man.
Because this was pure cinema.
Maybe. I don't know. I know it's tough when you engage like that.
Right.
To deal with silence. Because silence become a whole different enemy.
Right. That's the Ab-Soul calling, by the way.
Yeah.
Should I go ahead and... You mind?
Nah, for sure.
Hello? Hello? Ab-Soul? I'm assuming you tapped in right now, Solo. How you doing, sir?
Oh man, I'm doing. How are you, brother?
Hey, man, I'm just sitting here talking to Punch, man. We just having a good old conversation about...
Punch?
Huh?
Punch?
He's right here.
Who is that?
Oh, Punch TDE. You're familiar with him.
Oh, you talking about Zordon?
Zordon.
Oh, rough up.
You good.
Zordon?
What up, brother?
How you feeling, man?
Oh, man, just sitting up here chopping it up with Curtis.
You got the linen on with you?
Nah, you know me, regular old white tee.
Oh, you got socks on today? You got the socks on?
You know what I'm saying? You know it.
Okay, for sure. All right, say that then. You in town? Where you at?
Yeah, man, pull up.
Man, what's happening?
Pull up on me.
All right, man, I'll tap in, man. Hey, man, hey.
Hey.
Take it then. Hey, Curtis, man.
Yeah.
You getting real close to heaven, man.
Look, it feels like it. It feels like it. At some point, sir, it would be amazing to have a sit down with you over here as well, when time is allows.
Hey, you gotta talk to the president.
I'm sitting. You know what? I will bring that up. I appreciate you calling in, sir.
There you go.
Come on.
My brother.
Come on.
So long.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Church. Crazy. What a damn year. Yeah, we retiring Rochelle. Mama, get yourself. We retiring you this year. By any means, it's gonna happen. Okay, I'm sorry. So Buried Alive, I'm not looking. I'm sorry, you were in the middle of a point though. You were landing something.
No, I was just saying how the silence, I think the silence was tough to deal with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not knowing what's going on.
What does that do to someone who is unprepared, you think?
I think it drives paranoia. Because you don't know what's what.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your mind start doing all sort of things.
Yeah.
Not saying him in particular,
Just,
but just
in general. Yeah. I'm only asking in general because there's stuff out here. So 616 in LA, I had never seen us in Punch. You know, I saw Jay-Z, I saw Jay-Z Nas, I've seen all these different things play out. I've seen how nasty battles can get in this arena. One thing I have never seen in the midst of a battle is an artist telling his competitor, hold on just a second, I need to say a prayer. At least that's how I interpret 616 in LA.
Crazy.
616 in the morning, a song drops.
Right.
And I just so happened to be getting ready to get my son, take him to school. And I said, hold on, son. The most infamous words Kendrick just dropped that we would keep repeating over the next few, not even the next few weeks. This man wrapped this whole situation up in 5 business days.
Crazy, right?
That is incredible. But 616 in LA drops, and I think this for me, and I would love to get your perspective, especially at, just on some hip hop shit too. Like 616 in LA is a moment where we see the vitriol sometimes that happens in these battles, and we see where it's like, who can go lower? You go low, I go to hell, type of thing.
Yeah. This
was so unique because I felt like it was so on par with the man that we have gotten to know through his art form, in that, look, God, you know that I'm a work in progress. I just gave you Mr. Morale, which to me now, in perspective, in retrospect, feels like almost like a purging before engaging in such a thing as this. How did you read 616 in LA, and what made it unique to you?
So again, everything is wrapped up around this Australia trip.
Right.
After I heard Euphoria, I flew back.
I gotta be here for this.
You're right. I flew back on tour. Euphoria dropped. I don't know. I think it was the next day maybe, or I don't know how long it was after that, but I heard 616 when I was getting off the plane coming from Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, so to me, I just took it as he was telling to think about this whole thing before we go too far.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I took it as. It's like, just, think for a second.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm telling you certain things, like, really think about where you want to go.
I know I skipped a step, but to that warning, there were certain lines that have been crossed by Drake, in my opinion, and we're especially knowing from where we're from.
Yeah,
and just really just as men in general.
Yeah.
When you get the family involved in some of these narratives, when you literally speak on family and business partners, and you say all of these things that you're saying, I just remember just sitting there shaking my head, and saying, I just don't know if the guy understands who he's in a battle with.
Yeah. But again, I don't think when you're so successful at certain times,
right?
I don't think you see everything. I don't think you take the time to really consider what's what.
You don't think it makes you more because you I said it before. I seen a picture of you, Jay-Z, and Bill Clinton,
right?
And you looking real comfortable because you like, I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
You've seen some of the most elite performers in their arena. You are one of those, right? Like, you are, to me, one of those. You when they talk about Barry Gordy, like, you have to talk about a lineage of folks who have been able to build and create and help artists along the way. Like, what you've done is something that generations will talk about. But you've seen different perspectives, and I would assume, being that my money's not like that, that you become more safe, or you become more strategic about these moments because of how easy it is to be lost in your own.
Yeah, but again, that comes with your background and your character and who you are. Like, I can't speak for him personally.
Sure.
I can speak for me, and certain things I would look for is based on how I grew up and how I was raised. So I'm always being tuned to certain things.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't say that for everybody because everybody got a different experience. You know what I mean? But what I do know is you can be blinded by so much success at times.
Right.
It's even times when I've been in that situation and have to will it back in. Like, hold up.
Yeah.
I don't even get caught up in this whole thing.
That's a great point. And it leads us into probably a moment that some will say for his side was a moment where he, I guess, finally decided to take it serious in some people's eyes with Family Matters. and one that felt a little bit more direct, and one that felt like he was, you know, attempting to, I guess, get into more of his lyricism bag to a certain degree.
Yeah.
The thing that struck me about that song, because shout out to my dog Stevie Crooks. He always says, like, the problem with the audience is that they get too quickly hypnotized by the beat.
Yeah.
And they don't really necessarily pay attention to the things that a lot of us are paying attention to, and they don't see what the substance is. I listened to that and I was like, all right, here we are now 4 songs in, if we talk about Buried Alive, and he still hasn't done the Drake thing.
Yeah.
There's no singing hooks. There's not even a back-to-back or a charged up situation. There's no club records. I know you can't speak for what his strategy was, but how do you interpret seeing that approach now that we're at Family Matters? Because it's a very different approach than you've seen with Pusha T and all these different folks.
I had the same excuse me, I had the same thought with Family Matters that I did with Push-Ups. And it was that it's not enough.
It's not enough. What makes it not enough in your eyes?
I think another mistake that they made was giving the idea that they was finna push this red button. So I think when you did that, you built the anticipation a bit too high.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now people have expectation.
Right.
Like, I'm finna hear some stuff now. He finna push the red button. It's over now.
Right.
And when that happened, then what you call it, drop right after.
Well, okay, to that point of the red button.
Yeah.
Y'all stay pretty even keel no matter what's going on. Y'all don't let the elements around you change what your strategy is. In that situation, when you hear that, do you think there's a part in Dot that says, all right, it's time to lock in? Or is there like we're doing this, let me over prepare for what that may be? Or is it just, I already know what I am and I'm confident what's about to happen?
The latter part, you already know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, people were saying that Dot wasn't battle tested.
Where did that narrative even, and it came from people who don't battle rap.
They just didn't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And speaking on things that they didn't know about.
Right.
When I saying that, I'm listening like, hey, all right. I hear you.
Right.
But it's like, Dot was fully prepared.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? With no songs written, he was fully prepared.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, no, man. But it's like, you got the anticipation that his red button, that thing drop.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. Oh, you got dirty. You went far. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go further.
And further he went, because damn it, after that song, they couldn't even have enough time. There wasn't enough time for them to put a piece in the oven.
Yeah, for sure.
There wasn't enough time to even put a piece in the oven. You couldn't even watch your favorite sitcom because damn near less than 30 minutes later, Meet the Grams happens.
Oh, yeah.
Here's where I, as a listener, say, this is what makes somebody like a Dot so dangerous, is that I still don't feel like throughout those songs, and maybe you read it differently, I didn't hear an angry Kendrick in that. I heard one that was like, I'm warning you. I'm telling you. Okay, let's have a discussion beyond this show. Let's talk about the person behind this performance. Because now you involve in my manager. Now you involve in family. Now you're doing all of this stuff. Okay, well, let's really talk about you and Meet the Grams or something where it was like, it's an Alchemist beat.
Again, you mentioned the anger, right?
Yeah.
This goes back to an earlier point. That uncles get killed. You had friends get killed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got jumped. We're talking about records, bro.
Yeah.
So there's no anger there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Battle tested, that's battle tested.
It's battle tested, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It plays a part in your whole mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes into what you do from here on out.
Right.
So you talking about clashing words.
playing devil's advocate for those who say, well, this the elevated stage that this is being done on, does put your legacy out there looking a certain way if it doesn't go. Because we've seen this flip for other people. Like, you know, I hate to use examples, but you know, the way that it turned for Ja Rule, the way that this could very much be a make or break moment. No different. It's funny, no different from like corporations in that when I think it was Jack in the Box said that they had better fries than McDonald's and they almost went out of business.
Yeah.
That's when the Jack head exploded in that old commercial. These are very risky moments. And when you're saying certain things about me, about my reputation, not that provokes anger, but at least, you know, that does create a new element of emotion, I imagine. No, not at all. Unfazed. Okay.
I mean, you got to think about it. Like, before that whole battle situation, Dot highest moment commercially was Damn. Like, Humble was a diamond single.
Right.
I think it's almost double diamond. So he experienced all the success you can experience in hip hop.
Right.
At that level, at that point.
Right.
So this battle was just extra. You know what I mean?
It's almost like, you know how they say NBA players, you can't be one of the greats unless you get in the slam dunk contest.
Right. That sort of thing.
That's how I kind of read it too. Because I'm like, at this point, we know he is who he is on his own.
For sure.
With the team and everything that's been, like, we know there's no doubt about that. There's nothing about it needs to happen. But you know how the analysts, it's funny how much the shit that's happening in hip hop media mirrors the stuff that happens in sports journalism.
Yeah.
And that if LeBron James loses this game, his legacy is on the line.
Right.
And it's like, we're just going to negate everything else that came up, conveniently negate everything that came before that.
That's human nature, but nah, it don't work that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your legacy is based on a career span.
Right.
It's not based on one moment. That moment is a part of the legacy, but it's not the legacy.
Okay, so Meet the Grams happens, and oh my God, I listened to that record, and this is where I'm like looking at it, I'm like, to me, it's that Mamba mentality, and it's a reason why when Dot sat across from Kobe, and Kobe said, you know, who reminds you of yourself in the music form, and he said, of course, Kendrick, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I looked at this and I said, all of those, going back to the moment when I told you, when I heard a record where they all everybody in TDE played the role of a different member of Wu-Tang for fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't a record where they were like, oh, we do this, we're going to go crazy on the blogs. And no, that was a record that they did because of the love of the sport.
Hey, that's a song. I was on that song.
You was on that song too.
West
Wait a minute,
Coast
who did you play on that one? Or who was you? You really?
I know I gave them young boys a run for their money.
I know you did. That's why I don't buy it when y'all hear you talking. I'm like, Punch know he nice. Punch me know he nice. Because I be listening. I was listening to a Room Full of Mirrors record this morning. And I was like, it's a certain demeanor, it's a certain confidence that you gotta have to talk like this.
Yeah.
And like I try to tell artists when I do music critiques.
Yeah.
Ali said this too. He was like, there's a certain level of confidence that is built within your silence too. Mm-hmm. A lot of rappers try to overtalk the moment. And those moments where you just like, no. Huh.
You know what it is for me? It was a moment when I was 25.
Mm-hmm.
And it just hit me that nobody can do me better than me. Not one other person.
Right.
So I took that attitude and mentality in everything I do.
Yeah.
So if I'm on the track with Dot and Soul or and Light, whoever, yeah, they do all these things, but they can't do me better than me.
Right.
And I'm always stand on that.
It reminds me of, I don't care how great the players are. Back to the basketball analogies, Phil Handy is going to always have the utmost respect of Kyrie Irving, the utmost respect of LeBron, and no matter where they're at in their career, I need to go talk to him. Not I want to, I need to.
For sure. Because
of the vantage point and the wisdom that comes along with it. But like don't get it twisted. Like,
right.
I'll be nervous right now. Talking about, hey Curtis, I need you for a record.
Yeah.
You need me to do what? Oh, we got to work today. Okay, cool. Okay, so then we're wrapping it up now to where there's just the battle questions, and I really do appreciate your transparency.
Sure.
Man, that's incredible that I'm talking to you after reacting to all of these clips, and they're like, man, shut up, bro. You ain't gonna get no interview or nothing.
Yeah.
How you feel right now? Stupid. So
funny.
Kendrick circles a block and comes back with Not Like Us. A day after, like I said, this whole thing happened in 5 business days. I don't think people will recognize how quickly of a wrap up this was until we do the 1-year anniversary this next coming week. Not Like Us.
Yeah.
First of all, why do you think people didn't think he was capable of being the one to get a record off like that? Because I heard that narrative a lot, where they were like, man, just wait till Drake drops the hit record, and when that happens, it's a wrap for you guys. I'm like, you act like this dude ain't the songwriter that you just described in the beginning of this conversation.
Yeah. You know what? Well, somebody made the point. I think it was maybe Ebro or somebody when he said that Drake fans aren't necessarily hip hop fans, and that plays a huge part in it. So a lot of the talking points and ideas is not based on hip hop, but it's based on love for Drake.
Damn. Well,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if we love hip hop and we have a certain kinship within that,
right.
we're going to be able to admit where our favorite was wrong at some point.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? The other guy that ain't our favorite
Right.
was better, or whatever that might be.
He didn't have it that day.
Right. That don't happen with a lot of Drake fans because they love him to death.
Yeah, he can't do no wrong.
And that's just it, which I feel that. Cool.
Right.
Great. But it's like, I think that's where that narrative came from, and it's based on back to back. You know what I'm saying?
The song or the
song.
The song itself. Okay.
Drake's song, back to back.
Right.
That's when he got meek with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And people was waiting on history to repeat itself with that joint.
That's why it's so funny when I look at some of the Easter eggs. He said, back to back. I'm gonna get back to that for the record. I said, when I see things like that, like, okay, here's a question I have, because, you know, no disrespect to my dog DJ here, but he kind of like killed a lot of the conspiracy theories of like, when he said this, he meant this, and da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And he kind of was like, man, he ain't really, on all that stuff. And I said, respectfully, Cap, because I've been around y'all and I've talked to y'all. Last conversation I had when I went to go visit even the homie Daylyt, the casual conversations we have are not normal conversations, and I can only imagine what it's like in the family dynamic at TDE. I saw some of these. Y'all are brilliant minds.
Appreciate that, brother.
I don't look at anything of this as accidental. So when I see some of these things, yes, sometimes when it's your time, certain things will connect.
Yeah.
But how much of that do you think was calculated on the part of Kendrick?
It's super calculated.
Right.
Yeah, you calculate a lot of things. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and cap and say that everything was,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
Because some people just reach and they figure,
for sure.
I'm looking stuff. I'm like, come on now.
Right. But the majority of the things are calculated or taken into consideration.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Y'all are y'all are well read. Y'all well versed. The kind of references that I heard you even bringing up today about the Egyptians. I'm like, you casually say that.
Right.
This is what drives all of the energy with it. Like, nah, he meant that. Nah, run it back. Run it back. That's a quadruple entendre. It's funny. I never forget. Soul came to visit me when I lived in Rancho, and he told me, he said something like, I got both hands in the pot like I'm ambidextrous. And he said, you corrected him about it was something about that detail. And he was like, man, he's like, but see, that's why punch is so important, because it's moments where I'm like, I'm in my bag. And he's like, no. You, what did you mean when you said that? So when I know that kind of detail goes into it, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, yes, some of these things are going to be full brain conspiracies because we're that excited, but zooming out, we're excited about fucking lyrics right now. Punch, like, and I say this like as a man fully secure in my emotions. I sat there in front of this live stream, and I'm in an audience maybe of like 1,000, 2,000 people as they're asking me to dissect the lyrics from my lens as an artist.
Yeah.
And that shit just gave me goosebumps. I almost feel like breaking down, because I'm like, it had been so many years of mediocre.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
Which is why when I get people who have their criticism of my channel, like, oh man, this is just a pro TDE channel. I'm like, I'm sorry that your favorites are not providing the authenticity.
Right.
It's almost like when you, the first time I had a real steak,
Yeah.
I can't go back now.
Nah, for sure.
So when I think about the first time that I heard music that actually spoke to my soul, human music, I'm looking at everybody else like, why are y'all taking days off?
Nah, for sure.
Why do we have filler songs? The streaming era, I think, brought about a lot of that as well, because it was quantity over quality. But no matter what, that's what happened. So to my point, I think all of the songs that happened, and so Not Like Us drops. I looked at that. You know what I said, Punch? I said, ooh, so much of this shit is reminding me of the cultural phenomenon that Control was.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's bigger.
Bigger, much bigger. But I'm saying in terms of, I remember how excited I was for you when I was like, Phil Jackson knows who TDE and Kendrick Lamar is. Like,
Crazy,
this is
right?
like Phil Jackson.
That.
In 2012, that's a bigger conversation. Now I'm looking at this and I'm like, you got pastors redoing the song. You got presidential nominees playing a song.
Insane,
you
right?
got corporations getting they licks in on Twitter and all of this different stuff. You got all of these different things happening over a song, and it was like I couldn't understand, and I say this carefully, I couldn't understand any of the bot allegations that were being thrown, because I'm like, I can walk around the city and see the impact.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't fake influence.
It's crazy because when I think of Not Like Us, it takes me back to another earlier point when I said his first mistake was that Taylor Made record. So that enabled Not Like Us to be made.
If somebody would have told you in 2012, yo, a record with Dot and Mustard would be not only the biggest record in hip hop, but the biggest record in music, period.
Sheesh. And music, period, is crazy.
Yeah. At that time, there was no conversation. There was no conversation about a song. Yeah, we can talk
You know
about.
what's funny?
Huh?
What I got to give credit to? Glass has always said that they need to get together. Mustard and Dot.
Really?
He said that for years.
Huh?
And once they get together, it's going to be insane.
God's timing. it did when it did, because man, oh man, when we got the GNX album. Matter of fact, Nashawn, would you mind? You good on time, by the way?
I'm good.
You good? Okay. Nashawn, would you mind pulling up a guest question? Matter of fact, if you don't mind, grabbing these headphones here off to the side. There's a question from a up and coming journalist named Monie. She is amazing at what she does, and she been going to bat for a lot of things. TDE, specifically Doechii, specifically SZA, and she's representing the ladies. And she has a question, since we're getting to the celebratory time. I do want to talk about the pop out, but I want to leave room for this conversation about GNX.
Okay.
She had a very specific question for you. Can you go ahead and play that, Nashawn? Thank you so much, brother.
On GNX title track 10, The Heart Part 6, Kendrick Lamar takes listeners on a trip down memory lane. He shares how he got his start and the people who made a tremendous impact, not only on his life, but as an artist. And in verse 3, he starts with, Punch played Phil Jackson in my early practices, strategies on how to be great amongst the averages. I picked his brain on what was ordained highly collaborative. Where were you when you heard this record for the first time? And how did it resonate with you that Kendrick Lamar affirms you were his Phil Jackson, one of, if not the greatest NBA coaches of all time, while on his way to being the greatest rapper of all time?
Go ahead and pause it real quick. There it is.
Sheesh.
Glowing reviews.
I can answer it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was actually I went to his studio. He was finishing up the album.
Mm-hmm.
So when I walked in, the young lady who sang the interludes, the Hispanic lady.
Oh yeah.
Can't think of what her name is off the top.
Yeah, I got access to it, but yeah.
She was just finishing up her parts.
Yeah.
And was walking out, and he played me most of the album. Then he played me that one,
Mm-hmm.
and like it gave me chill bumps instantly because he's speaking the truth. Everything that he said actually happened,
Right.
and it just transports you back to that time frame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I had chill. I could get chills now. You know what I mean? Just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But for him to make that comparison, like it's the highest honor.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a man who won a Pulitzer Prize.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know why I took it here? Full hat on. I got a theory. And I feel like I might not be that off. Because after Not Like Us, we got a version of Heart Part 6 that we don't really acknowledge. I don't acknowledge. I say that was beige rage on full display is what I call that. This is a light-skinned term.
I call it the white flag.
Hit the button, please, sir. Hit the button, please, sir. Somebody gonna have to
tell me.
It felt like it because
Hey,
he
them
said,
niggas gonna
y'all
be
got
hot
this
at
shit
me.
burnt the heck out. I said, oh, come on now.
Yeah, it was I mean, just to be transparent, my honest opinion. And two, for the record, I gotta say, I'm probably the most unbiased when it comes to this situation. Like I respect Drake's talent and skill as a songwriter, as a MC.
Right.
You know what I mean? All the success he had. Even conversations I've had with him, like, always been a cool dude. Like I had to clear the SZA record for him or whatever. So like I don't have no beef or malice towards him.
Right.
It's that he's battling my guy. So
What you think is going to happen?
it's up.
You would do the same thing.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? But when I heard that record, it felt like defeat. Like he felt exhausted.
Yeah.
Like vocally on the record. That's why after I heard it, I wouldn't put good battle.
Oh, you put that on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
I remember that. It did feel like, I mean, he did that at a time where it was like the other record was taken off in a way where even if that wasn't a diss song, that would become the primary focus of whatever company is attached to it because that song took off with gasoline draws. Here's my theory on Heart Part 6, which I thought was really interesting. After, as the West Coast might say, after Kendrick marked that nigga out, I'm just playing. After Not Like Us dropped, and he said, this person in the crew, this person doing this person doing this, I mean, I feel this way about you. Drake decided to do his own addition to the Heart Part series, which anybody who's a fan of Kendrick understands how important these records are as almost like photos in a photo album.
Yeah, for sure.
To remind you of where I'm at, right? And as he gets to Heart Part 6, soul calling again. Hello? Hello? Are you there? Oh, no, he gone. He gone. Okay. No, so he might have butt dialed me. But as we talking about Heart Part 6, I thought what was really interesting is this. This is my theory. Heart Part 6 was him and his white flag, but he also was, at that time, starting to kind of deny whatever people may be saying about him or what they interpret as the record as. And he's like, nah, that, I would respect that record you got if it wasn't full of lies. And he just talked about him. He defended him at a time after his whole label got called out. All his label mates got called out. He didn't say nothing about them and his crew.
Yeah.
I listened to Heart Part 6, the real Heart Part 6, and Kendrick makes it all. Because when I seen it, I was like, oh, shit. We ain't done. We ain't done. And then I heard it and I said, what a masterful move. Not even move, but what a masterful, not even move. That's not the word. What a gesture. Because at that point in time where everybody is focused on what is this going to be about, he tells you what it's really about.
Yeah, for sure. And that's just a testament to who he is. Like, that didn't have nothing to do with Drake's record.
I'm sorry. Soul just clarified. He said, I said paraplegic. Both hands in the pot like a paraplegic. He said, what you meant was ambidextrous.
Yeah.
Okay, you said just being funny. Okay, he had to clarify. I'm sorry, Solo. I had to make sure that you know, he's like, don't play with my words.
That's funny.
But I'm sorry, you were saying that record. Yeah.
Yeah, nah. They didn't have nothing to do with each other.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a response because you did that, I'm gonna do it this way. It was, the heart is all about the heart.
Right.
The feeling where I am, what I've been through since the last time you heard from me.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest things was he left the label to start his own company.
Right.
So what he did was gave backstory and context to what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's what the heart is always about. If you go back and listen to him,
Mm-hmm.
it's from album to album what was going on in that transition period.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a favorite heart of the series?
That one now,
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Like, I love all of them,
Right.
really, but that one right there, because he touched on the whole team,
Right.
like, it just felt so much different.
And the first one I believe that we saw. Well, no, that's not true. Because what was the one where where he had the guy in the beginning? He was like a pack of Marlboros, gallon of water. That's my favorite, and I think it's more so about where I was at in life.
I think that was my favorite before this one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I already, as soon as I said that, I heard the first sounds of the beat coming in. Last question I got about this, man, is after all of it, you know what's funny? The homie who was like super revolutionary, he was somebody my homie Masawa would always say. He said he used to call me Panther back in high school because I was like Black Panthers. He was about brown pride. He would always tell me, he said, never forget, Panther. He said even the revolutionaries had cookouts.
Oh, yeah.
Had barbecue cookouts.
Absolutely.
Where they play good music. They enjoy each other's company. It wasn't all so serious. That thought came back to mind when I saw the pop out.
Yeah.
Because we've seen situations happen where something drastic happens, even if it's, you know, losing his brother Nipsey, and you saw folks unify upon that particular event.
Yeah.
But I think some of us still had questions about, like, you know, is it because of this singular event, or do people really want to unify? Punch, when I sat here, I had food poisoning. I couldn't be there in person. I sat on this couch and I watched it on the projector. And the first thing I told my wife, I said, this show was amazing to see, because in a moment he could have made it all about him.
Yeah.
He brought all these different artists that said, he said, oh, you like Not Like Us? You gonna love some of the folks that are opening up this show. Some of these artists that maybe you're hearing for the first time. He made it about more than himself. He made it about the city. And I looked and I said, I started looking like at some of the artists, and I said, I'm not a street dude.
Yeah.
But, you know, I didn't produce in a lot of environments where I had to learn some things real quick, affiliations and all that. And I said, oh, they in there with them?
Mm-hmm.
But what I noticed this time was it was smiles.
Yeah.
And it felt like people genuinely wanted to be in the same building. To your point earlier about the first mistake, what did you see about that moment that made it so special in your eyes?
Well, when Nip passed, right?
Right.
You seen something similar.
Mm-hmm.
You seen everybody unite. But that was uniting out of mourning.
Mm.
The pop out was united over love. So that was the difference.
Yeah.
In that whole thing. It's like, yeah, we got differences, but we the same and they not like us.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? That was what the whole pop out was about.
Right.
And then before Doc come out, like you said, he had all the young guys, some of the guys who was already popping and established. Everybody came and got down on stage before him.
Yeah.
When he came out, he brought Dr. Dre out,
Mm-hmm.
and he brought his 3 brothers out.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was, man, that was a moment.
That's it. one of those where when I hear my pops talk about the Olympics at the Coliseum and the moments he has with that, the first time he saw some certain artists that have become legends, when he described that to me, right, back when he was introducing me to MC Breed, and Ain't No Future in Your Front, and he's trying to give me a vision of things.
He from the Bay?
Nah, Pops is from out here.
Oh, okay.
Pops is from out here. It's funny because Pops, like, at one point, Pops was a super hip hop head, and then he got into the educational field. Yeah. And as he kind of got into there, his focus went to different places. But Pops used to take me to Curtis Middle School, and he would play, MC Breed. He would play Eazy-E. He would play, and that's kind of the combination that created my palette, was that everything. I go to my mom, she'll play Lionel Richie. She'll play Wham. She'll play Marvin Gaye. And so he was the one that introduced me to some of these like West Coast classics. And he would tell me about these events and how he would paint a picture. Like, short story, Pops took me, when they announced the verdict on the Rodney King trial, I was on Pop's shoulder.
Crazy.
And he took me off his shoulder because I think he sensed something was about to happen. I looked to my right, and a dude throws a trash can through the gas station, and then we have the LA riots.
Absolutely.
Heart beating out my damn chest. But Pops would always make sure I was a part of these moments. But when he talked about that, I swear to you, I sat here and I said, this is my moment. Even if I'm not in that place, as I'm going to tell my son about this moment, because I knew how much hell West Coast artists got. At one point in time, I was told, even though I didn't sound like a lot of my counterparts, they was like, the problem is with the West Coast sound, it's too regional. The fuck does that even mean, too regional?
Bro.
I used to come on to Rap City, and being regional was what you saw on the television screen. I wanted to see, what does Milwaukee rap sound like?
Yeah, for sure.
What does this sound like? That was something, a sense of pride.
But even within the region, just at that show, like, you got Problem, and you got Tyler, the Creator, who sound nothing alike.
Yeah.
Then you have Steve Lacy.
Steve Lacy on that same, yeah.
And YG.
Right.
Sound nothing alike.
At all.
So, yeah, it's regional, but it's still different. Everybody got their own identities as well.
Right. Which I think people had to have a real conversation with themselves, because we knew our diversity.
Yeah, for sure.
We always knew our diversity. And it was dope to even see that. That was a moment for me too, seeing, like, I love that he brought Tyler on there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously, because y'all understand the nature, all that, that's a no-brainer. He's one of the biggest artists. But it was dope because it was like, they could have easily said, oh, man, that ain't nothing but a bunch of folks coming together. But it's like, no, you getting a full LA experience.
You getting a resurgence.
You getting a resurgence.
Yeah,
you believe that's what we in right now?
1,000%.
Yeah.
So wave, what happens, everything comes in waves. So I think we was reaching fatigue on a certain wave. And this fatigue happens to come at the time when this battle was happening. So what it did was create a paradigm shift.
Right.
And start of a new wave.
Ironically, I did a story where Joe Budden was talking about, no, it was Ebro. Ebro said it. I think he responded, or he reacted to it, where he said it was the decline of hip hop, and major labels were deprioritizing signing rappers, and they were prioritizing, I think it was Latin artists and Afrobeat artists.
Yeah.
And it was to the point where they were getting ready to just push that off to the side. The timing couldn't be more divine.
Yeah.
And when I'm thinking about some of the most exciting lyricists, it's funny because not even just in music, even in battle rap. When I think about the Geechee Gottis, when I think about, I know Daylyt's making his way out of there, but when I think about just the elite lyricists that are here, even the ones who are not from here, who live out here, it makes for a different conversation. Beyond that, the songwriting, everything that's happened, I'm excited to see all the music. Obviously, throughout this time, man, you've been able to go even beyond the realm of just hip hop. Y'all keep doing it. Y'all keep doing it, and to see you behind, like, I remember reading like when I had a world history class I took at Cerritos College, and then when I started seeing the same name behind, he's behind this person, this behind this person.
Right.
Oh, so this shit, it wasn't no. I mean, luck plays a role, but this is some point. Oh no, you're the common denominator. It's the same thing with TV shows. You would see the same producer and everything.
Exactly.
Man, SZA's success story is incredible.
It's insane. Bro.
It is. I was listening to it on R&B about how y'all even met. What is it like managing someone with her unique artistry compared to a team full of rappers?
Initially, what attracted me to her is her approach was like an MC. The way she approached singing, the staccato, the metaphors. Like she had this one line that always stuck out to me on her first EP. She said, "I'd rather die than be your slave. Cut my wrist wide and take the stage."
Oh, she barred, huh? What?
That's right.
And she's singing this.
Singing it though.
Yeah.
So when I hear that, I'm like, oh,
right.
I know exactly what to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been doing it. So it was just the same approach. I just had to find the different outlets.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Man, I'm curious because, you've talked about the challenges. You were very detailed about some of the challenges and the budgets and things that come along with it.
For sure.
I'm curious of an opposite question though. What lessons or cheat codes from the early TDE years were you able to bring into your work with SZA?
It's more so the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So with the first guys, it's certain outlets that we always hit. So through those outlets, you begin to build relationships with them.
Right.
So that was the cheat code. Now when I got a new artist, it's easy. I can just make a call. Hey, we're going to pull up on y'all.
And it's a level of trust they got with you because
of what we
the resume, right?
Right. For sure.
So you're not going to bring nobody with no nonsense in here.
For sure. And not only that, bro,
Yeah.
It's about being simplest way to put it, it's about being respectful to people.
Right.
When you're respectful to people and you courteous and you honest and all of these things, like it resonates. It goes back and forth.
Right.
So even if I brought something that was trash, they still gonna listen just out of respect, not out of that love. They'd be like, man, I don't know, but you my guy.
But once again, y'all don't operate like that. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the moment that I see something like that, so I can be like, all right, maybe y'all got. I have not seen it yet.
We ain't gonna give you no reason to see that.
And that's why I continue to stay excited about these releases. I mean, even looking at what Ray Vaughn is doing, I'm looking at this, I'm like, and I love it because it feels like there's an energy in the air that when I describe it online and I'm talking to folks who are not out here, that's when I recognize the advantage of being out here.
Yeah. And
I'm like, oh, that is something that is unique to me. Maybe I should just embrace and do something with it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Last question I have, and I actually want to, can we rev it up to the second question from Monie that's sitting in there? As an executive, what's the biggest challenge in helping an artist like SZA continue evolving creatively?
The biggest challenge?
Yeah.
That's a tough question. Each challenge it just presents itself as it comes. Right. And they're all different. It's not like it's a general challenge.
Right. Well, I mean, as success is piling in and you're seeing things that are working, I would assume as an artist, there's a level of, okay, I got these things that work for me uniquely.
Yeah.
You've seen.
You know what happens in that situation?
What is that?
The challenge actually is time.
Huh.
Because you run out of time. Like, it's certain things that you want to do and want to get to, but then there's so much other stuff that you have already on your plate, you probably can't get to it. So time and trying to figure that out is probably the biggest challenge. Yeah.
Do you see the timestamp up there? You got it already, sir?
For the
second question, yes, sir. Monie got one more question for you.
Okay.
Is it the third one? Yeah, then it's the third one. Okay, let's pull it up. Shout out to Chilling with Monie. I want to make sure because
Monie be going hard.
Monie, you be seeing her out here? Yeah. Yeah, she don't play. One thing she not gonna play about is her SZA, and she ain't gonna play about no Kendrick.
Absolutely.
and it's dope because now I'm seeing like voices like hers, voices like Gina Views that are like, you niggas need to rap. Like, why y'all don't rap? I see that and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a part of me that's like, we in a time where now, I seen a narrative out there. I'm not gonna say from who, but I seen a narrative who said, I've been talking to rappers lately and they're afraid to drop right now. They're like, Kendrick messed everything up.
That's funny.
Y'all don't want to rap. What y'all mean y'all don't want to rap? Just it's in your name. You got
And
rappers
where
want to
they
be
were
rock
recorded.
stars. You got you don't want what y'all want to rap.
It's funny.
Okay, here he goes. Questions pumping up right now.
So there seems to be this idea of a record label or
Oh,
management
actually, no.
being
This is
able to put.
we can address this one. This is let's switch gears to Doechii. You talked about the button.
Okay.
Can we get into some industry plant question? A question from her about that?
After that, do you want to go first one or the second one? This is the third question.
If you have the timestamp for the second one, let's run that up real quick. Yeah. But that I think you kind of answered that one too. Man, I appreciate
Where
your
were
time,
you
too.
when you heard this record for the first time?
Oh, it's popping up
And
now.
how did it resonate with affirms you were his Phil Jackson,
Okay.
one of a time?
Here we go. All right.
SZA's SOS officially became the longest running top 10 album by a Black artist in Billboard 200 history,
God.
surpassing Michael Jackson's Thriller.
What?
You tweeted about confirming to SZA years ago she was the one, and also revealing the majority of SOS was recorded at Westlake, which is the same recording studio Thriller was made at. Have you and SZA had a chance to reflect on this accomplishment and the synchronicities between these albums and where they were recorded?
No, we actually haven't had time yet because at the time this is happening, like we knee deep into getting the stadium tour going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's so much happening and going on.
Is that right? A stadium tour has a lot of stuff that you got to do. Is that right?
Got a few things you got to do, Curtis. It's crazy. Who would have
Okay.
thought?
You know, thought you just go up there, show up, and perform. That's how that goes, right? No. Okay.
But it's like in the midst of, okay, so you doing rehearsals.
Mhm.
Like we shot the Luther video. She was in the middle of movie promo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she dropped her deluxe late in
Right.
December.
Shout out! Can I just put a pin real quick? Shout out to her in her acting debut.
Crazy, right?
Because I looked at that and I was. It's funny. I went with my wife to go see that in theaters,
Yeah.
and we got a call that my son was at school throwing up, and we had to leave. Luckily, it was on Amazon, and we sat here and watched the rest of that movie. And I'm like,
Right.
we need that kind of energy. We need movies that show the city in a different light.
Yeah.
And SZA jumped into that role like she had been already acting before.
Bro, what's so brilliant about her is she didn't even get to read the script.
What do you mean?
She was literally going over the script
In the moment.
in the moment.
Huh. Oh, she might really be a rapper, like in a past lifetime. She that's rapper shit right there. Coming off the top of your head.
And
yeah.
it's not from the lack of preparation or taking it serious.
Sure.
It's the fact that she was literally on tour. When she got back from tour, the next day was the first day of filming. You know what I mean? So
None of this is normal, man. Like with
because look, remember the first you know the scene where her and Kiki arguing on the street?
which
And
one?
they get a little heated.
The one where the shoes went on top and or was
Nah,
it?
they was arguing on the street after they got beat up.
Yes, I do. Okay.
That was the first scene that was shot. You know what I mean? So it's like
That's insane.
she's a natural talent,
Yeah.
and she know how to embody whatever the thing is she's doing.
I see a lot of that same thing, and yeah, shout out to her. I want to make sure we give her all of her roses. I see the same thing in Doechii, and I'll be honest with you. When I saw you guys sign Doechii, skill wise, I said that's right up the TDE lane.
Yeah,
How active she was on social media,
it's different, right?
that one was different for me because I was like, you guys usually seem like you have artists that already know what the program is, and not that they don't express themselves, but they probably you're probably in the studio, they're probably locked in with the work, and they're very selective about who they talk to. She had already had a history in terms of doing her own content, and she's a content machine.
Nah, what it is it's an era thing.
It's an air thing, okay.
You know what I'm saying? She come up in it already.
Yeah.
Like, she don't know an industry that exists without it. You know what I mean? Like, when we was first starting out, all that didn't exist.
Yeah.
You had MySpace. You know what I'm saying? So as it progressed and new artists come in,
Right.
they coming in of a certain era. So she's already, you know what I mean, involved in doing those things already.
So her rise, like, y'all keep it, whatever it is in the playbook.
Yeah.
Her rise is been insane as well. It keeps happening, and at a time where I think that there was a lot of folks in the audience that were asking for more multi-layered stories from the ladies.
Yeah.
It's no doubt about it that the tide is shifting, and I love seeing artists like a Glorilla. I love seeing artists like, one of my favorite is Mona Leo.
Yeah.
She said, don't let me catch you with no group, yo. You gonna be with Tupac when I come shut up that studio. I said, Lord, she rapping harder than these dudes. They meanwhile, they over here singing, I don't want to be alive. And I'm just like, oh, can we get to this? Jeez. So to see that energy is needed, but then Doechii.
Yeah.
And the work and the music that she makes is so human. It's so honest. And I know it's human when I see people get uncomfortable about certain topics that get covered. And I'm like, oh, so it has less to do with Doechii and more so about your inability to look in the mirror.
Of course.
Once again, a part of the DNA of the success of which you'll have always done. That's why I thought it was really weird when I started to see. Well, first of all, talk about what you saw with Doechii that was so unique, and then I want to get into this red button question one more time for Monie.
Yeah. What I seen about Doechii was that to be so young in her career, her vision is very pinpoint. Like, she know exactly what she wants to do. A lot of artists come in and they have somewhat of an idea,
right?
But she go through the whole thing, from the music to fashion to the whole nine. Like, you can tell when she at award shows and she give her speeches,
right?
Like, she hit all the right points.
You
know what I'm saying? So she has a crystal clear vision.
Yeah,
and the talent is undeniable.
It's unfortunate when people see that crystal clear vision and their first assumption is, well, she's been media trained. Oh, well, they've this is someone that is manufactured in a box. And I'm like, have you not heard the music?
Yeah.
When you hear the conversations about, when I heard the conversations about media or what is it, an industry plan, I said, here we go again, when you got fans using terminology they don't know anything about.
Right.
And then pointing it in a direction, you gonna point that in the direction of the label that is known traditionally to have worked for everything that they have gotten.
Yeah.
And even be patient enough to take the long route in certain situations.
Yeah, it's I'm getting to the point now where I have to stop entertaining certain conversations.
Sure.
Because, like, I would do it because of the educational purposes. Like, it's people that actually want to learn. But then I have to realize it's not my peers I'm talking to.
Bomb, please.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Yeah.
And when I say that, what I mean is, if me and you discussing hip hop, right? We cut from a similar cloth. So we gonna have certain things that's in common. Right. We're gonna have differences for sure.
Sure.
But it's not like I'm gonna be talking to a 12-year-old girl from the Midwest.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? About a J-Rock record.
About major label contracts.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like we all shouldn't be having these conversations with everybody.
Right.
Because they're not for everybody.
No,
Like you usually discuss it with your peer group,
mm-hmm.
who might have a little bit of understanding.
I have to remind myself all the time because I grew up in a house full of debating.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it is fun to get in the middle of that. Then I realize there are people who are hell-bent on never understanding any other point of view.
No, for sure. And they just want to hear themselves talk sometimes.
That part. Can we cue up that? You say it's so casual, and I hope it hurts. Can we cue up this last question for Monie real quick, and then we'll start getting it. Man, you've been so gracious with your time, and I want to get into this next section about hip hop media, and then I got a room full of mirrors question, and we'll be there. But man, I do appreciate you,
man,
because I know you got a lot on your itinerary, man.
That's like I said earlier. Like, I think this is an important platform. You know what I'm saying? What you doing? Like, it's a lot of integrity involved in it, and I think we need more of it. And that's the reason why I chose to come and sit down in person.
Right.
Not even do it over Zoom, just to sit face to face and have a conversation.
Because I gave the option. I was like, look, every time you pop, and it's funny because you don't even be tweeting about half the shit that y'all be doing.
Right.
You just be having a casual. I thought it was the funniest shit, just going back to that, when all of this stuff was happening with the battle, and you was like, what y'all eat for breakfast this morning? Like shit like that. Or I'm just like, oh, you just playing around with people. We got that question up there, man. Shout out to Nishan holding it down for me, man. I really appreciate you, bro. Okay, ready to go? Yeah, let's go ahead.
So there seems to be this idea of a record label or management being able to push a button to make an artist popular. And as of late, there's been some online discourse surrounding Doechii. So can you speak to the claims that buttons are being pushed for her? She's an industry plant, and it's the sole reason she's had any recent success, despite her grind being available to the public, like it's well documented. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. The industry plant thing is something that I don't understand. I don't get where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Like just in general, that term.
Right.
Because to me, what it sounds like is you saying, oh, this person's record company is actually working and doing record label things.
Damn.
Like marketing and promotion and getting your videos shot and
right,
putting ads up and the whole thing. Like
utilizing relationships.
Yeah, like, because when I ask people about that, what does the industry plan mean? Mm-hmm. These are some of the things they come back with.
Do you ever hear them say creating an artificial buzz that doesn't exist? That's the one that I heard was creating an artificial buzz that doesn't exist. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that's how I saw it with artists that came up. For instance, like, no disrespect to the young dude, but Forbats, who wasn't doing shows.
Yeah.
You don't know where they came from, and all of a sudden they get 2 million views in their first song.
Even with that, though, like, all it takes is one person to hear it. Mm-hmm. Say Forbats posted it on his Instagram, and some executive somewhere was just scrolling and happened to hear it. Now he bring that back to his record company, and they're like, "Oh, this is hot." And like, does that mean he was planted?
That's a good
Nigga
point.
posted his song.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. Even things that might be considered real industry plans, they don't last. Mm-hmm. So it don't really matter.
Yeah.
Like if you putting that on somebody who is actually generating interest, then your point don't apply at all.
That staying power. That staying power is something I feel like goes back to the theme of what you established early on, is that if you come in here with a solid foundation and a solid mindset in terms of what things to actually value, that'll set you up for whatever task comes in front of you, which I thought was really interesting. I'm just observing, one, as the person talking to you in an interview, but also as somebody learning in real time, the way you said about the SZA situation, which I can only imagine some of the magnitude of some of the things that come across your desk, but having that mentality of as they come, then we deal with those. Yeah. There's very much a theme of staying present in the moment is what I'm catching from that.
Of course, you always want to stay present. It's like, I kind of want to go back to this plant thing.
You educating us. You educate a lot of folks out here because the arguments are not sticking.
So if you look at Doechii, right? The song that really popped her off per se, the song don't even have a hook on it.
Which one are we talking about?
The River is Now.
No, okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's just telling her story. No hook, just music breaks.
What was the other one that was another record that she did on the Colors platform? That was one of the first ones that I heard.
Yeah, for sure.
With the sub harmonies and the hook and all of that.
All of those joints, it was a gang of records before that.
That's what I'm saying. Like that was the one that I was like,
she got a platinum record.
Yeah, okay.
Called What It Is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So to say industry plant now because of her project, it's kind of insane and is uninformed.
Feels convenient because of who she's associated with it. Because when I start seeing the sources of the people who were saying this, it's folks that I'm looking at and I'm like, you know better.
Yeah, for sure.
But you're also taking advantage of the ignorance of the average consumer who is now involved in terminology and politics they have no business in. Punch, it was the funniest thing to sit here and watch people do lyric breakdowns who never had to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, first of all, based upon the stats that you put up on Twitter and I put up on Twitter, shout out to Afro Butterfly, one of my subscribers, who says the average reading level in America is at I think she said like a third grade level.
That's tough.
Something insane.
Yeah.
So to see people who are like, okay, so in this part of Euphoria, what he is saying, and I'm like, I have questions, not even making fun. I have questions about whether or not you can actually comprehend on a basic level what you're trying to break down.
And that's a problem. Like everybody shouldn't have the authority to do certain things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody isn't qualified.
Right.
Like you can't just speak on certain things. I remember hearing Benny Siegel on the Breakfast Club years ago. It was saying something about a snitch or something. Benny Siegel was like,
you got serious.
Qualified to call this man a snitch.
Right.
Like you ain't got no stripes to even say that about this person.
Right.
Even if he is, he'll still blow your head off.
Yeah.
In a metaphorical sense.
Yeah. Turn the CV off.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like it's that vibe. Like certain people shouldn't be speaking on certain things or have a platform.
You've been on this internet space, and I'm sure more so as an observer than someone who's commentating on everything that's happening. Where did society, do you think, just like a more generalized question, not even necessarily hip hop, what do you think society had to go where people feel as empowered to be loud and wrong as they've been about these type of things? Because what you're saying is a very common thing.
Yeah. And
you see people who are, not that you can't have your points challenged because you're a human being who is seeing things and you're learning in real time, but your resume.
Yeah, for sure.
There's certain arguments that I'm like, this person, and no disrespect to those of you who choose not to put up an avatar picture of yourself and you choose an anime character instead. No disrespect. Some of y'all are cool as hell. Some of y'all talk so loudly about, Punch, you need to be transparent about something. And I'm like, transparency?
You ain't even got your picture up. You talking about transparency?
It's fun that you say transparency. What do you think what do you think happened in society? Because I know you're a deep thinker. What do you think happened in society that we got to this particular stage? Because now there's even people who used to be considered super fans who now consider themselves media outlets.
Yeah.
Because of that power.
There's a couple things happening. One, accountability is lost. It's completely gone. Like it used to be, if you say something, you got to be accountable for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like things can go,
especially out here,
1,000%. So you can't just say certain things,
right,
and not be willing to stand on what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now you can do that because you tucked away behind a computer or a phone. So anybody can say anything at any given time.
Right.
And the accessibility, everybody have access to it. That's just how it go.
Yeah, that's that right there. Like, you know, I don't even want to get into those politics because like I said, being a citizen out here, I know, but there's certain names that I only used to hear brought up in behind closed doors in studios that get broadcasted on a daily basis by you know, suburban Asian kid from Ohio talking about LA politics, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's insane, right?
shit feels like Twilight Zone. Because this thing's now to this day, people will see it in me. I tense up. Like when I saw, you know, conversations about Ricos and all of that, I said, I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
I got to go out. I'm still going outside. I'm not playing that game with folks. Well, I want to talk.
That, like everything isn't content.
Everything is in content.
Everything is in content. Certain things got to be put in its proper perspective.
Sure.
Like I can respect you if you're reporting the news.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I feel that. But it's it gets misunderstood when, is this your opinion or is this the news? Are you pushing the narrative or are you reporting the news?
Yeah.
That's when things get muggy.
Mm-hmm.
And that'd be tough for me because I'd be listening to certain people and I'd be like, what's going to happen if I run into this person? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what's that conversation going to be?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you're being performative
Mm-hmm.
and what you're doing behind your mic and your platform and your whole thing, or is this how you truly feel?
And will it matter when I see you?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's tough for me personally.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you this. It was I had a homie coming up. His name was PJ, and I watched him transition from being like the homie that I went to school with to when he eventually, you know, he became part of the Bloods.
Yeah.
And he was somebody that I watched go from being like, you know, kind of a kid who was like into all of these different things to his whole demeanor change. And I could just tell. I talked to him. I said, "Oh, you've been around a lot of OGs, and they're bestowing wisdom on you."
Right.
I never forget, we were sitting in front of Cerritos College, and he said, I asked him like a question about a rapper, and he was like, "Man, men don't talk about men." He said, "Niggas don't do that shit." He said, "That's not what grown men do." And I thought it was such a telling thing for him to say that, because for some of us, it was just like barbershop talk.
It's conversation.
But the way that he said it, I could tell it was delivered from somebody else. Punch, that was my hesitation in this YouTube space.
Yeah.
I went years without mentioning another person's name because my proximity to you guys and knowing that I was able to say, hey, I contributed a few records to this thing that ended up becoming the biggest thing.
Right.
And that I saw it happen from the earlier stages. Anybody's accessible. You talked about Glasses Malone, like working with Glasses, and then seeing like Eastside Cable and all these different folks that I'm like, I've seen their rise. I know that I'm going to run into people, and God has a hilarious sense of humor.
Yeah.
I stopped. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But then I got to a place where I recognized, but there are people out here who don't have that hesitation, and they're saying things that have no validity to them.
Yeah.
No proximity to them. And I almost felt a responsibility as I started to see like there's a lack of information out here from my peers, especially my independent DIYer peers.
Yeah.
And so I started to talk about things, but even until the battle, I didn't want to talk about rapper beefs or nothing like that. But I'm telling y'all, from the perspective of a young black content creator, I'm not as young as what I used to be. I finally hit my 40. But from the perspective of somebody who was young in their journalism media space, y'all changed my life, and you changed a lot of lives out here. So when I hear the things that you said about media,
Yeah.
I don't get offended. I put an antenna up because I remember two perspectives. One, I felt that way as an artist when I was getting interviewed by some of these platforms.
Yes, sir.
I work on a project for 2 years. We sit down for 2 hours, and you got 2 questions about the music.
Right.
You recently shared your thoughts on hip hop journalism. I want to pull up this specific tweet, and it happened right after the I believe the Bazaar interview that Kendrick and SZA had. And I thought it was so dope to see them talking candidly about things that were bigger than what everybody was bloodthirsty to hear about. I thought that was important because once again, this is getting to know the people. You said here, I think you said this is a safe space. You said, is it okay to criticize the critics? Because ultimately, we're just talking about opinions, right? Well, my opinion, LOL, I'm a critic. In true fashion, you said, is we're losing perspective on things. Something great or not so great happens, then we talk about it. And that's fine. Again, that is just my opinion today. It might change later. So wait for something great to happen, sleep on it, study it, and find something insightful to say about it. I respect hip-hop journalism and feel it's needed in its truest form. It helped keep the culture alive, but it's only a few real ones left. Most of you guys are trash. I started smiling when I seen that shit. I was like, ooh, when I say it, it's like, shut your angry light-skinned ass up. When you say it, it's like, let's dive deeper and do a think piece on this. I'm like, I love that. I love that. Just my opinion. That's why artists don't want to talk to you. Punch. Ain't nobody had to say nothing, but damn it, I felt energy on my timeline when you agreed to come talk to me.
Absolutely.
I see it in what I don't hear. I've been around this long enough to be like, oh, I know the passive aggressive energy in the air. You came and sat down with me, and I think that speaks volumes for a lot of things. But
What they saying? Dog? Talk to me.
Come on, man. They look at me as, I think they look at me probably the same way that they looked at certain athletes when they became talking heads, right?
Yeah.
That on one hand they'll say, you're only doing this because you failed being a rapper, and I'm like, that's the way you view the world. That could be the only. And the thing is, I'm still actively doing the things that an artist does, but they say this.
Nah, that's what actually makes you great in this space.
Say it again.
That's what actually makes you great in this space because you understand from an artist's perspective.
The nuances, right?
Absolutely.
Right. It's the same thing I said when I saw J.J. Redick and LeBron James sitting there talking about certain things that the main sports journalists refuse to talk about.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't know.
Pick and rolls, but you can't talk about those particular elements of the game.
Jay-Z told me one time, we was having a conversation about a couple of his records. Just talking about the record Pray.
Oh, yeah.
So me and him was debating what was the better song, Pray or 99 Problems.
That's a crazy matchup.
Because of the stories.
Oh, because of the stories. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So he was going with 99 Problems. I'm saying Pray. And he said something that stood out to me. He said, Pray, in order to write that song, you got to know what the dope house smelled like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the same with what you doing now. You can bring up certain things because you know the ins and outs of what it is to be an artist. You know what I'm saying? That somebody who's never been an artist won't have that same insight.
Glossing over details that matter.
Right. They can still be great.
Sure.
But it's just certain edge that you would have over that.
Yeah.
That's why Joe Budden is so good.
Yeah, well, you're going to get a lot more nuance because he can't help but give you the details, and why would he want to leave them out?
Right.
If they're relevant to the story and what's going on. You know, there's been a lot of talk about these outlets chasing gossip instead of artistry.
Yeah.
Is that a failure of media or of audience demand?
It's a failure of society.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? Because we attracted to violence, sex, drugs, money. Like those are our things. So if it's not about that, it's taking a back seat.
Right.
And that's just human nature.
Yeah.
But I want to bring light to those other things because there's so much more to it than just those same sensational things.
Your presence here today got me a phone call from my dog, Absol, a text message from Young Guru saying I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And I don't take any of that lightly. And I knew it when you said, yeah, how does this day work? I knew the responsibility of it. And to me, man, I'm going to keep it together. For me, dog, like, I don't know how much insight you have to all the years that I have invested into this, and I never did it to be performative or like, oh, look at me, or y'all see, I deserve this. I never had that mentality in what I did. I always looked and I saw when other people won, and I did my best to stay on the side of being inspired. And I just so happened, I just thought about it. I talked to my guy, one of my best friends in the world, homie Epic the Don, and he was like, do you ever think about for a second how rare it is? Like things that we say out here is just regular. How rare some of the people that get brought up. For you, I'm sure that's outrageous. But when I think about that, I'm like, that's even more reason why in this era, in this stage, I gotta make sure that I always put my best foot forward.
Absolutely. And you doing it like I've been watching the whole time.
Man.
Yeah, I've been seeing everything you've been doing. So again, that's a part of why I really wanted to come in person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like full circle moment. Everything is going how it's supposed to go.
Right. I remember Nipsey talked about it too. He said the only indistinguishable difference between me and my peers is I just didn't stop.
Exactly.
And that's one thing. One more question on this. What responsibility do artists and execs have in shaping a healthier media ecosystem on that point?
I think the line of respect has to be established. It's tough when certain media turn into stars, per se, because you tend to lose the respect of what got you there.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's different types, though. Like it's some that do great interviews with artists. It's some that just get on and talk. You know what I'm saying? But either way, like it needs to be some sort of respect level.
Yeah.
Certain things should be off limits, just as people.
Right. As people.
Right.
That's an element that we don't get to talk about a lot.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that too has to do with I think about vanity slaves. I think about the emphasis on vanity metrics, and you know, it's funny. I talked to my audience. I said I think we really forget about the amount of people that we impact. I don't care if you're an artist getting 50 streams right now. Chances are you can't fit those 50 people inside your studio that you record in. It'd be pretty busy.
It's true.
I think an average Chipotle holds about 75 people.
Right.
And I know what it's like when I'm in a rush. and it's a whole lot of shit going. It's the most annoying thing is so many people in there. I remember the pandemic and getting them grocery stores. I think the capacity might be 300, 400. And people are complaining about what they do. When it wasn't what it is in terms of TDE, in terms of the success, what kept you grounded when the numbers didn't match what you knew this was?
Just how good the art was. It's just, bro, people like to make things so difficult.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Right.
I ain't gonna hold you.
Bro, when you strip everything down.
Yeah.
Like, this is my whole philosophy. Everybody wants love and want to give love. Everything revolves around those two things. So if you apply that to music, like you want people to love or like your music or accept your music. That's one love. And you make it because you want to give that love too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's an exchange.
Right.
I hear one of your records. I love it. I'm going to put somebody else on. Yo, check this out. Now they accepted me because I just put them on to something new.
It's an exchange of love and that in there. Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, because to me, the theme that I see as a reoccurring theme in terms of the artists that are now shining in this moment right now is I find myself breaking down their lyrics and they are grateful because of the care that I show in my breakdowns.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful for them because of the care they show in their art. Not a bar goes by that they're not thinking about, could this be better?
Absolutely.
Is this the best representation of what I? You don't have to keep the headphones on, by the way. We done with them questions on there.
sorry.
Yeah, in case it's them is bothering you. But man, nah, that's good. That's good.
But even going back to that, like, remember when Rap Genius first popped off?
Mm-hmm.
Me and Soul, we was on the phone or whatever. Like, that was the best thing that happened.
Yeah.
Like, look, they break down all of the stuff and they do this and this and that. Like, this for us.
That's for us, yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is the same level of care.
Mm.
So there's always something that's needed and that's wanted.
You know what's funny about that Rap Genius situation? Rap Genius is the reason why I accidentally met SZA Rashad.
Oh, wow, really?
They had a party up in wherever the hills they were living in. And I think it might have been me and Noah when I pulled up to this party because of his relationship with someone up there. And I'm sitting at this table in the backyard, and it's a bunch of artists in there. Like, I'm recognizing everybody in there.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at a table, and me and Noah just having our normal rappity rap conversation. And there's this dude on the side of me chiming in, and it's not a good lighting out there. He's chiming in, and I'm just like, man, that's a really good point, bro. Like, you got a lot of game, a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
And we just talking. And then he gets up and leaves, and I said, nigga, was that SZA Rashad? But it was dope to get that introduction because it's like we saw what that environment attracted. Once again, to your point, that that love, that care attracts that, and I'm glad we're in a point in time where that is desired. And I'm like, dog, why wouldn't it be after the I don't even know what you want to call that era.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an enjoyable era until those who got it dropped.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's waves. It comes and goes.
Yeah.
So you just got to sustain while another wave is moving. That's not your wave.
Right.
Just wait it out because it's going to come back.
How the hell y'all got the patience to just do that? Because it's time. That's what I'm saying. When I said earlier, you said, man, people be making it more complex than what it is.
Yeah.
You're talking to somebody that is. People are chronic hypochondriacs. I'm a chronic overthinker, and I've worked myself to a point now at 40 where I'm like, you had it right.
Mm-hmm.
Trust yourself more.
Yeah.
But that level of patience, and I wonder how much that was God being strategic for me to see that y'all have had that, at least from the outside looking in from day one.
You know, that patience, as an overall company, that comes from top.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it, like, Top was getting money in the street. Mm-hmm. So he didn't have to move on any deal that was presented. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good advantage to have.
Yeah,
You're not impressing me with none of this.
Right.
Mm.
I mean, everybody else was like, yo.
we say no to that?
Yeah, right. He was like, man, I think we can get something better.
Damn.
And that played a huge part.
Right.
Because most people would see certain numbers and be like, let's do it.
What are we doing?
I don't care how many albums they
right. But once again, to that point, look at what Holding Out has done. And I think y'all have set the standard for, I don't care what kind of flack y'all have caught throughout the years. One thing, like no matter from where it's coming from, and you hear people who say things just because y'all are in that position of number one.
Of course.
It just comes with the territory.
For sure.
One thing I've never heard as a criticism is that when y'all do drop, it has a cultural impact.
Yeah.
First, from where we relate the most to it, but now as y'all have expanded, it's something to where I feel like the whole industry takes notice and takes notes about, oh, that's what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's one thing, only thing I can guarantee in this business that when we drop a project, it's going to be a quality project.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what the numbers are going to be. I can't tell you if it's going to even work, but it will absolutely be quality.
How much quality control does it go through? I know you're big about making sure that you guys have always retained artistic freedom. How much quality control does it go through? Because, I mean, your ears are different from Top's. Top's ears are different from maybe some of the artists in their direction. How does that?
In the early days, what we used to do is like we took the approach that Motown took. You know, Motown had quality control.
Right.
So they get all of the best, the executives, the songwriters, the producers, and everybody in one room.
Right.
And they'll play the joint. How many people think it's a hit? Raise their hand. How many people think it's not?
Yeah.
Raise their hand. Then Barry go, you hit him with the if you was down to your last dollar, would you buy this record or would you buy a sandwich?
Yeah. Oh, damn.
You know what I mean?
Oh, damn. That's a good one.
So it was similar to that. Like we get the album in, run through the album, everybody take notes, and get their opinions on what they like and dislike. We'll see what's similar.
Wow.
Whatever points people are butting heads about, we'll have a discussion.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
You know how many niggas want to fight? What you mean my second verse was trash? Nigga, you just say that because on the last time that we had a conversation, you was kind of low-key hating on me. How do you quell any of that from even happening? I mean, I feel like it's a personality thing that you guys have established a tone, but how do you stop that from being like a personal situation too?
Because the idea is to come out with the best possible product. It's not personal. I don't dislike you as a person.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I don't know if this second verse fit this song like it's supposed to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here's why I think that.
It's not an attack. It's constructive criticism.
Right. And then you come back, well, I think it is because of these reasons. Then niggas are like, you know, figure out what side of the spectrum they're on.
Right. Once again, continuing this look, it's only so many times you can show me somebody in environments where there's always high fucking quality. And it's only so many times you can do that before I'm like, what you do?
Yeah.
A room full of mirrors.
Yes, sir.
I get in that room. There's nobody in that room that, I mean, aside from like a Daylyt that is attached to the TDE brand like that. And I'm looking at a new crop of artists.
Yeah.
That are, once again, you could take any of these individual artists.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is a movie all itself.
Absolutely.
There's responsibilities that could go all into that. It was so dope being able to go in there, you know, shout out to my dog, Ichiban, and just the relationship, my brother that I've had with him. And really too, man, I much love to him because I feel like we had some great conversation because I was like, man, I don't think Punch really want to sit down with me, man.
For real?
And we had them conversations because I was like, man, just once again, being light skinned. And he helped me to understand, man. He's like, it's all in God's time, and so I do appreciate them conversations because I was drinking and driving. I'm sorry,
Drinking and driving.
crazy. What is the mission behind this collective, A Room Full of Mirrors, and how did that collective come together?
I'll tell you how it came together first. I was working on a solo album. So I'm recording. You know, I knew everybody individually. So everybody just pop up on me every now and again. And it got to a point where I was done recording and everybody would still just be pulling up.
Yeah.
So we just sitting there, we talking and whatever for weeks. Listening back to the album. I'm like, yo, we should do a record. And it was like, yeah, let's do it or whatever.
Yeah.
So I start quarterbacking the record. All right, this the beat. Light, you come on, you do the first 6 bars. I'm going to come in and do 2 bars right here. Then Lyric, you come in and do the next 4. And so on and so forth. Record came out insane.
Yeah.
Just the chemistry that we all had.
Right.
All right, let's do another record.
Yeah.
So from there, it just kept going. You know what I'm saying? To the point where we started to recognize that everybody in this room was, although different, reflections of each other. You know what I mean? Hence the title, A Room Full of Mirrors.
Ah, okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Respect the art form.
Yes, sir.
Is that the mission statement or is that the slogan?
That's the overall idea.
Overall idea. Right.
Yeah, you gotta respect the art form, no matter what. And of course, the way I word it, it's the acronym for A Room Full of Mirrors.
I saw that. That's your signature, your handwriting over there.
Yeah,
no surprises here. No surprises here.
Nah, 100%. But the whole thing with
Yeah.
what?
Oh, no, you good. The young one just came home from school.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we really doing a
Sizzling
DIY project. That's my
dinosaurs.
wife, by the way.
Hello. How
Say
are you?
hi, Pop.
Hi. Say hi.
Say hi.
What's up, man?
Say, Say how are you? Yeah, you about to run right in front of them cameras. Love you, Pop. I'll talk to you soon, okay? Oh boy, yeah, this is really a DIY. Shout out to my dog Chuck Dizzle. It's funny, I'm telling you, Guy got an amazing sense of humor. When I saw homegrown radio being operated out the house, I had no idea that one day I'll be operating. He just texted me too. I had no idea that I'll be operating out the house, but this is a real situation.
Yeah.
But room full of mirrors, so that's the mantra.
What it is, it's like I'm trying to create a whole world.
Okay.
A whole universe. Like I liken it to the Marvel universe, for lack of better metaphors.
Mm-hmm.
So you have everybody are individual artists, but then when we come together, it's a whole different movement,
Right.
whole different idea, whole different movie,
Right.
and then it's even groups within the collective.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
Right. So it's
Cause you got teams of 3
yeah.
fucking up somebody's whole label. Like that's not fair. Cause I'm telling you that when I went there, I don't, like I said, I chose the right day, or I was invited the right day, because that's when, ironically enough, I don't know if he puts this video out there, but Daylyt was doing interviews for every single artist. So this was like me watching a movie, and seeing it in real time. Like, oh, that's why your personality is like this. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing Juice, I'm seeing Lyric. I'm like, oh, okay, Earl, okay, this is this.
Yeah.
And you kind of you get to see the family dynamic in there, and it's something that's so natural. I wonder, how much deja vu do you get, or not deja vu, but how much do you get those moments where you're like, this looks familiar?
Oh man, all the time.
Yeah.
It's just at this point, I did it in reverse. Like, for example, we didn't never get the full Black Hippy album.
Yeah.
So with A Room Full of Mirrors, we got the album done first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then everybody individual albums.
Okay. So now that you're in the spirit of doing this reverse thing, like, can we put that momentum into a Black Hippy album? I mean, is that it?
Yeah, man.
You guys asked me to talk about the hard hitting questions. I'm here now. I'm just
Hey.
playing.
That's,
Well, we want that though. You know that would break everything.
Hey, I would love it.
Does it get complicated with the way labels and everything and all that stuff works now?
It's not labels again. It's more so time.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Even back then, before everything grew to how big it was,
Right.
it's like you got Dot on tour.
Mm-hmm.
You got Q shooting a commercial somewhere.
Yeah.
You got Soul back working on the album.
Right.
You got Rock doing, you know what I mean, whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is not in the same place, so it'd be difficult to lock in and actually get those records done.
Man.
And again, with A Room Full of Mirrors, I knew that from that experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, while we building, let's go on and
Let's go do that first. Let's get that out the way.
Exactly.
What about your project?
I have a project done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about putting it out yet.
Why are you doing this to us? So now.
Because I get a lot of fulfillment with working with A Room Full of Mirrors.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I can dip in, get some verses in,
Yeah.
then dip out and handle the business. And it's not a full commitment
Right.
to me actually doing full joints and the full album. And
Roll out and all that.
because it takes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I focus, like I'll lock in and
Mm-hmm.
a whole tour will fall apart.
Oh, the stakes are a bit higher, huh? You
Right.
got a lot of things going on, huh?
Nah, for sure.
Hey, last few questions, man. This has been a really dope conversation. 'Cause the thing about it that I don't think people are understanding is that this might be the longest you and I have ever talked. Period.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of scenarios in which I came to your work of business or your place of business,
Right.
and work had to be done, and I was just playing them beats, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, man, I got this instrumental called Spiritual Law. You trying to rap on this punch?" Well, that's exciting to hear. Last question.
Oh, we ain't gonna talk about that joint, huh?
Huh? I mean, look, I finally got one, bro. I was like, well, people don't understand, and I don't ever tell this story. You know what? We skipped all over that 808 and gunshots beat because I think we've said, we've said enough. And I want to say thank you though, because you know what? At first, I was embarrassed. That was a light skin showing again. I was embarrassed because I was like, all the stories you could tell. I was like, why y'all ain't saying nothing about Tree of Life?
I remember that. I remember you think you kind of felt the way.
I didn't feel a way. Like I wasn't mad. I was just like, damn. Like, but I did a lot of good shit too.
Right.
But what I came to see, and I think it didn't hit me until Q was on Drink Champs.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all ain't got to bring my name up, but you did.
Right.
And that's the part of humility and gratitude where I was like, well, you could just be the only person in the world that knows that's your beat and not have a conversation at all.
Yeah.
So.
You know what else with that? Like, it's really a sign of love. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, niggas wouldn't talk about you or clown or whatever.
Right.
If it wasn't a certain level of respect there.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying?
Kind of how y'all was on Homegrown. I'd never forget. It's the funniest thing. There's a clip up on my page. Schoolboy Q said, Curtis, man, for those that don't know, quick thing, I had the CD that Ab-Soul first signed to TDE. He said, Curtis, give me a CD full of beats and I'm going to float it around TDE. This is at the time where J-Rock was like, that was the dude. That was the focus. I said, okay, cool. Let me give you a CD of beats. I did that. One of those ended up being a song where the first feature that you heard from Dot with Kendrick with Kendrick with Ab-Soul on an Ab-Soul album. It was called Watch Your Lady, and I produced that one. I was like, damn, that's my first placement. Mm-hmm. And also on that CD was a beat that had nothing but 808s and gunshots. And to explain myself, somebody had exposed me to was it Thug Love by
Bone and Pac.
By Bone and Pac, and I was like, ooh. My brain was like, oh, what if I redid that, but with 808s? Because that's what's hot, right? What if I did 808s? And I did the gunshot, and I put it on there. I said, man, J-Rock gonna hear that. He might go crazy.
Yeah.
Little did I know. But then Schoolboy said on Homegrown Radio, he was like, man, that beat was trash, Curtis. But he said, dog, you put me on, no, man. He said, that's the one and it's funny because to this day, I've never heard it.
Really?
I've never heard it.
That's crazy.
I talked to Ali, and he was like, oh, yeah, that's on a mixtape somewhere.
Nah,
I said,
it ain't never go.
It ain't never came out. I'm glad y'all didn't.
Yeah, that was tough.
You saved me.
That was.
Wait. Speaking of save me, Soul ever tell you the story where I got a little bit too froggy? We was living in Carson, and I was hanging around all the lyricists. I was hanging around this top-notch folks. I was hanging around Soul, and I was feeling good about my pen. I was like, yo, I'm rapping with these guys. I think I can like rap. And I said to him, hey, Soul, I got this funny idea, man. Hey, what if like me and you like had like a fake back and forth? And he gave me a very punch answer. He said, I don't know how that's going to end. How that's going to end out. He said, I think that it'd be a better decision to just continue doing what you do, man. You're a good guy. I didn't realize the bullet he helped me dodge that day, as he went on to become one of the greatest lyricists well documented in our era. It's those kind of moments that I'm like, damn it, I'm so grateful for grace.
All of it is a part of the story.
It is. It is.
Adds to it.
What do you want the legacy at TDE and in hip hop to ultimately say about you?
About me personally?
Well, what do you want your legacy at TDE and in hip hop to ultimately say about you?
Man, it's like a tombstone heading.
I mean, I didn't mean for it like that, but I mean, because so much has already been done, I think it'll give an idea into the things that you value the most. Because you've done so much, you've been a part of so many things.
Man, I just wanted it to be that I came and show love and receive love.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I got one nard where I'll start questioning. It's the last one of the day. Any artists from any era that you could sign, dead or alive? I'm thinking it'll probably be, someone who's no longer with us. What artist do you think would have fit the brand
Sheesh. Marvin Gaye.
Ooh, hit the bomb, please.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Marvin Gaye with y'all brand of marketing?
It's ill because it's funny. Marvin couldn't find his style early on. They say he was trying to be Sam Cooke. They say he was trying to be Sinatra.
Right.
And he couldn't get it. You know what I'm saying? But when he did the what's the joint? The Mercy Mercy Me?
Yeah.
It switched everything.
Yeah.
Like Berry Gordy was even trying to get him to not do the album because he didn't want to get involved in politics.
It's a very
Marvin
clean
brought it
approach
up,
to
like,
things.
Yo,
Yeah.
he's like, you taught us to be individuals. You taught us this, this, and that.
Right.
That's what I'm doing.
Hmm.
Berry Gordy was like, man.
Don't use my words against
Yeah, he got a point. But that was Marvin wanting to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think he would have fit the brand of what we do.
It's one of the greatest albums. Like just the from the transitions to, I mean, when he
Yeah.
gets to Save the Children. Oh my God. Like
Right.
I remember hearing it as a kid. It had it hit different. As an adult, I heard that and I was like, this is how music should make you feel.
Nah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest albums of all time.
Marvin. It's funny because I read he did I think it was a 2-year hiatus. He went on a spiritual journey and then returned with this
Crazy.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his brother was, I think he was in Vietnam.
Vietnam, yeah.
So he had a lot on his mind and heart.
How can I not tell those stories?
Right.
It's on my mind every day.
That's what's going on. Like, it ain't just love songs out there.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
I gave you that.
Right.
Now we got to get to this.
We got to talk. We got to talk about some stuff.
What can people expect from this monumental damn tour?
Man, two of the two generational artists linking up, going city to city, bro. It's gonna be explosive. It's gonna be historic.
The amount of money I'd pay to be in Toronto in June.
You gonna
I
pull
don't know,
up?
just
Pull
because of the
up.
weather, you know.
I
Just
got you on the tickets. Full up.
remember the last time this happened, DJ Charisma was here and she said, come on down to Power 106, man. And I said, all right. And then she played my Squabble Love remix on Power 106. So once again, another moment that I got to say, thank you, TDE. Thank you. And even you, it's so crazy to see. I've seen your evolution like on a personal level where you go from barely tweeting to anything you just sneeze.
Right.
70,000 retweets and you said, I like this one, Kurt.
Yeah.
And the energy just shifted in my comments. Like, yo, I've been liking what you've been doing. I said, I know what that is. Y'all ain't for round of applause, please, for this guest, man. Man, thank you. I genuinely thank you. Shout out to I think it was 3,800 people that joined us today. I hope you understand why this gentleman came down to sit down with me. I'm grateful that you've been so transparent and so patient with the process. Thank you to every one of my moderators who held it down. I thank you. And, man, I wish you nothing but continued success. Man. And now it's time for me to start looking up plane tickets in Toronto. I need to see that. Thank you, Punch.
Nah, man, again, I really appreciate what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Your voice is a powerful voice in this, especially at this time. You know what I mean? Like, that whole battle created such an economy, and you capitalizing off of it in the right way. You know what I mean? There's certain people that I don't know what they're going to talk about once the hype of everything dies down.
Yeah.
But with you, like, you keeping your integrity. Like, it's the same thing we preach at TDE. It's quality.
To your Marvin Gaye story, I promise this is the last thing I've been holding you. To your Marvin Gaye story, my pops raised me. I told you, he took me to the riots. My pops took me to the premiere of Malcolm X. I looked in his bookcase. I see nothing but autobiography of Malcolm X. All of these Black Panther literature. And I think when people hear me and even listen to some of the music, it's something that they would be surprised to hear about. I've been making producer content thinking like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But there was a part of me that felt like I'm leaving something off the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm so grateful for this whole scenario that played out over the year.
Yeah.
Because I realized I felt the shift in how it was happening.
Right.
This gave me the opportunity to speak to cultural nuance, and shout out to my dog Justin. He helped me prepare for this as well. My guy, company man.
Yeah. It's my guy.
He had a really good talk with me last night. But with that said, this has given me an opportunity to talk about the things I always wanted to talk about. It's more than kicks and snares. It's more than, and it's mixed company too.
Yeah.
And I felt like, talking to my guy Deontay Kyle today, and talking to you today has put a line in the sand where it's like, I remember Evidence said this one time, you got to find a way to put the vitamin in the brownie.
Mm.
And that's something I never want to detach from.
Absolutely.
Because look, it got me here in front of Punch. Hey, DIYers, thank you so much. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Anything you want to say last before we get up out of here?
Man, again, appreciate the opportunity. And with you personally, don't stop doing anything you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Producing, your raps, this whole thing, like do
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't limit yourself.
Why do you emphasize that?
Because we'll get caught up in a mind frame of maybe I shouldn't be doing this now.
Yeah.
And that's just not true.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was listening to LL. He had got an award at some event I was at.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying it's not man, I'm gonna mess his quote up, but it was about, it's not about old and young.
Mm-hmm.
It's about old and new.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like young is an age thing.
Mm-hmm.
New is an ideas thing.
There's a mentality attached to that.
Absolutely.
Right.
So it's not about what era you from, how old you are. It's about fresh ideas.
Right.
And we got to keep that, because in hip hop, they always say it's a young man's game.
Never like that.
Nah, because it put a cap on us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't hear that in other genres.
Not at all. As they sell out stadiums and
Stadiums.
yeah.
Metallica can go on tour right now.
Right now.
You know what I'm saying? The Rolling Stones can go on tour.
If they say something about a band coming up and the people agree,
Yeah.
you can pretty much pack it up.
Yeah.
They still have influence. It's not looked at as, oh, they ain't doing nothing because da-da-da-da, regardless of what their record sales are.
So my whole point for you, for everybody listening, don't limit ourselves.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Let's do everything.
Yeah. Yeah. But you gotta understand, I came up in the big ticket rap city where he rapped with his guests.
Absolutely.
So when I looked at this and I seen, like, shout out to my dog Mick Jenkins who popped up here, and we have this series called Flowcation where we'll have a conversation. I'll make a beat and they'll rap on the spot, and I'm like, damn, I'm doing this in front of an audience of people who've never been in a studio session.
Crazy.
What a time.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, Punch.
My guy.
Come on. I appreciate you. Appreciate y'all. There it is. Absolutely. Hit the like button. Make sure that you share the content and all that good stuff. And thank you so much for supporting CurtissKingTV. Go buy those tickets. Go see everything that's happening on tour. And maybe I'll see you in Toronto, my Crodies. And on that note, scene. Thank you, Nishan. I appreciate you, brother. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.
DIY.